spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. Don't make me pull the biscuit out and shit get stupid watch. Since when they sell Rolex at a BB spots? Goddamn, man, I could never tell you. I ain't rolling with no fucking tools, but we come and drill you. Two styrofoam cups up, we gon' come and spill you. When the bill due, young dude, we gon' come to bill you. I pulled up to the chicken spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. Yeah, I pulled up to the chicken spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. I got a bad bitch, yeah, she got a stupid box. Stupid die, you ain't getting shit from me, baby, stop. Diamond rings, pearly thing, you must think I'm stupid, huh? We ain't stupid now, well educated. Filet o fish, niggas never seen the fish scale. They always talking shit, nigga, I just wish you well. Niggas want the drugs, give them quarter, flip to wish you well. Yeah, I pulled up to the chicken spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. Silly, I pulled up to the chicken spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. For really, yeah, I get much and plenty. Most your niggas still in the well, wishing for a penny. All the way and proud, nigga, choose now. When the biscuit up to your head, you better speak loud. Cause all my niggas ruthless, some of them niggas toothless. They ain't got nothing to live for, they shoot shit. And we talking about the beat, pull up to the roof, Chris. I'ma have you served well done on a toothpick. Spin around your block like a motherfucking fire spit. And nigga, we ain't camping, nah man, this shit intense. Heard you talking shit on the block, but what's your intent? Pussy nigga. Yeah, I pulled up to the chicken spot, got a 6-piece, one biscuit and a stupid watch. Bitch.
Yo, what's good? We're back for episode 39 of the Cypher. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, a good holiday season. We've been doing this for many months now, and if you're still unaware of exactly who I am, what I do, or why I think my opinion matters, I'm Andrew Cazer, the owner and editor of Upstate Aesthetic. Every week we host the Cypher, discussing a variety of mainstream and local hip-hop topics. Play some music, and have a good time. This week is a little different. We're going to be doing our top 10 episode as we close out the year, but before we get into any of that, every week I'm joined by my guys Anthony Kannon and Sheridan Crane. For some reason, Sheridan's video isn't working right now. I'll get that fixed. But Ant, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing well, bro. I'm excited to get this episode on and popping. You know, it's holiday season. My Christmas was good. I hope yours was too, Drew. I'm excited for New Year's and get some good music. What the fuck happened to Sheridan's dumbass?
Nah, I fucked it up, but we're good. How you doing, Sheridan?
Is it me?
Nah, it's me. How you doing, bro? How you doing?
He's preying on my downfall. He didn't want me to be in this podcast.
Please, God.
Facts.
Sheridan's down.
We're trying to get Bartholomew the fuck out of here early, bro. So.
Oh, damn.
Who's that guy?
Who's that
I don't
guy?
know who Bartholomew is.
Facts.
I don't know who that is. But I'm doing well. I haven't smoked in 11 days. I'm stone sober, so no rolling up for ridiculous amounts of time like y'all say I do.
It's a whole different Sheridan for this episode, a whole different vibe. But before we jump into our top 10 discussion, I want to remind any of the artists tuned in, we're running our 4th competition episode next week on January 6th. You have until Friday night to submit that, so make sure you send in your best track. We have a lot of really appealing submissions already lined up. We know that that's going to be a really fun show, so make sure you guys do that. Also, if you're tuned in, make sure you share, because we're live as fuck this week, so it's a little bit more difficult for us to be sharing into different groups and stuff, letting people know what's going on. So we need y'all to help us out as much as you can. Throw some shares out there. We're gonna, like I said, we have a really fun conversation lined up for this week. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Let's get it on and popping.
People are definitely looking forward to hear what we have lined up in terms of top 10 artists, and we will get into that in a little bit. But first, we're gonna run down our top 10 albums. We're gonna talk about the top 10 albums of the year, and the way we're gonna go through it is each one of us is gonna list off our 10th and then 9th, 8th, 7th, and so on. And we might as well just jump right into it, right? There's not a whole lot we really need to explain about it. Sheridan, you're first. You're going to let them know the album that probably absolutely no one has heard except for you tuned in. But what do we got lined up number 10 for Sheridan?
So I'm supposed to pronounce this too.
You put it on your list.
My 10th, yeah, nah, well, the whole thing's in Spanish. But my 10th album is from Kali Uchis, one of my favorite artists. She had probably one of my top 5 albums last year. She made the top 10 again this year. with Sin Miedo del Amor y Otros Demonios. I probably slaughtered that, but I tried my best. And that's an album that's an album that dropped, I believe, around a month, maybe 2 months ago. And it's something I've really connected with from front to back. It's just a really good melodic album. And it brings in a lot of the good stuff she did with her last album, and kind of mixes it in with her Latin style, which I thought was really cool. And it's not normally the type of music that I would go for, but because I like her so much, I obviously was going to check it out, and I've been going back to it since it came out. And I'm not really one to go back to albums for very long unless I really love them, and this is definitely one that I really love.
That's what's up. I honestly am not super familiar with this one. Ant, are you?
I heard it. Sheridan convinced me to check it out. I love Kayla Ukis. So I've checked out a lot of her older music. Sheridan told me to check this one out. He said it was an album of the year contender when it dropped. So I didn't feel the same way with it. I'm also not the targeted demographic. I love the music that she makes. It's definitely not in my top 10 though.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't in my top 10. I honestly haven't even heard it, so I couldn't really place it anywhere in my list. If you're in the comments and you have heard this project, go ahead, let us know what you think about it. I'm curious to see
Process
if
is a fan.
All right, so Sheridan and Process be bumping that one when they're chilling. But I for my top 10, or my 10th album, I guess I would say, I picked Run the Jewels 4. When this dropped, I was really excited for it. I'm a big fan of Run the Jewels. I think they drop really, really dope music in terms of just like the raw kind of hip hop sound, and mixed in with what is modern too. It's a really dope blend of music. It's a really, really dope album. So I had to put it on my top 10. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of albums that I have not caught this year in terms of there wasn't a whole lot that came. Well, there was a lot that came out, but it was kind of still a slow year for music with the pandemic. And instead of rushing to everything that was new, I caught myself listening to a lot of old stuff. So I'm not gonna front. My top 10 might be lacking in some places, but this one is definitely. I'm not afraid of putting on my list though. This was a really, really good album.
No, absolutely, bro. The thing is, this is our top 10 favorites. You feel me? It's impossible to come up with the top 10 best that everybody's going to agree on. So fuck anybody that got something to say. This is our top 10 favorites. Because when I get on here, it's going to look very different than your guys'. I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah. And it's definitely a lot more hip-hop oriented. Sheridan is a lot more just musically oriented across different genres. And I'd say mine is just like normie, like very much the regular, the general music listener, you know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to say that, you know what I mean? We all fit different demos.
I think you got some albums on here on your list, I know for sure, that aren't normie albums, and you got some really good ones, whether they're normie or not.
This nigga Sheridan's list is trash. Let's just get that out the way.
Let them know early. And what you got?
So.
Oh, no, go ahead, Sheridan.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to talk. RTJ4 was also, when I made my list, I started with like 35 albums that were like possibilities to make my top 10, and RTJ4 was one of those albums, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Run the Jewels was on my honorable mentions. You feel me? Killer Mike destroyed it. LP destroyed it. They're always going to be fire when they come together. It was a really good album as a successor to the ones before. I wasn't disappointed at all. For my 10th album, I picked Shay Noir as God Intended. It was produced completely by Apollo Brown. The features were crazy. And there was a lot of female albums that I could have put on here. You feel me? Women dominated this year, if you think about it in the grand scale of things. Shay Noir is an artist that I had to pick because she came with it on every fucking track. She's an upstate artist. She's from Rochester. The features came through and did their thing. Black Thought destroyed his verse, you feel me? And the production was just solid all the way out. So this was almost a no-brainer to me.
That's what's up. I'm again not super familiar with this one, but I know that Shay Noir is from like the Buffalo area, right? She's within the Griselda group at least.
I want to say Shay Noir is from Rochester, and I think she's part of 38 Specials clique as opposed to Griselda, but they're all affiliated in one way, shape, or form. Shay Noir will be making music with Griselda in the future if she hasn't already. I'm sure I've heard them together.
I think she's from Buffalo. I just looked it up.
Oh, that's
See,
crazy. I
look
could
at
have
him.
sworn
He's
she
out
was from
here
Rochester.
fact checking and shit this episode. He's
No,
on
I'm
it now
glad.
that he's sober.
I don't want to sound like a
And
dumbass.
don't even know his own albums, man. That's crazy.
Albums. This album is not called Buffalo, my nigga. What is you talking about?
Yeah, okay.
Let's get it though. Shout out Shay Noir. Keep killing it.
Facts. Sheridan, Ant mentioned the women in music are killing it. This next album you got lined up is titled "The Women in Music," correct?
Yes, Women in Music by Haim. They are a group of sisters from the LA area. They did kind of like I would call it like alternative pop, almost a little bit of like folkiness in there. And it's an album that I really connected with in terms of content, the subject matter of a lot of the songs. There's a song called Hallelujah that was one of my favorite songs of the year that was on there. And they're actually an album we'll be talking about a little bit later. One of my favorite
typical
artists.
Sheridan.
One of my favorite artists, Taylor Swift, directly credits them for influencing a lot of her music, and I think that's really cool because a lot of times artists who are a lot bigger than someone like Haim wouldn't really credit an artist who's not, or a group that's not as big as them as being a direct influence, and I thought that was really interesting to know. But yeah, Women in Music by Haim, on a really amazing album. If you like that type of stuff, I definitely would recommend you guys check that out. I think Jake would definitely like it if he hasn't heard that already.
Facts. And running it back to just solidify my opinion a little bit, Corey Loveless said Run the Jewels will always come through with album of the year material, and you know, I'm right there with him. Like every Run the Jewels album that's dropped has been right up there, and that's why this one, the fact that it didn't disappoint, really, it kept at the same level. It's very hard to surpass what they did before, but it's up there. So I had to go back to that one. Had to go back to my last pick. I don't have a whole lot to say about the Haim album. I'm not super familiar with Haim, but I'll take Sheridan's word for it. Maybe I have to check it out for sure.
Taylor Swift everywhere.
Yeah. Don't worry, we got more Taylor Swift content for everybody coming soon. Don't worry.
What's your ninth, Drew?
My ninth is Juice WRLD, Legends Never Die. So this is one that's definitely up the alley of more of maybe a casual listening album or a casual fan album, but I really dig this. This Juice WRLD album was one of the better posthumous albums I've heard in general, and this year unfortunately was a great year for that in a sense. You know, it's terrible that we could say this was one of the best years for albums of this nature, but it really was, and I think this album absolutely delivered in that way. It showed that Juice was continuing to be such an artistic creative and try different things, but also make things that would continue to be popular. You know, this album was very popular. So
man, Jude, it's crazy. You're absolutely right when you say this year was just a great year in general for posthumous albums, as shitty as that is. You know, a couple artists pass away at least every year, and as fortunate as it may be, typically the posthumous albums very lackluster. Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD, and to be honest, we're about to get a new Nipsey album, it looks like. So I have faith between those that it's all going to be fire. That actually makes me excited for
Mac Miller too had a really great.
Mac Miller, I can't believe I missed that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was early in the year, so but yeah, it was a crazy year for albums of that nature. And I also want to encourage y'all, if you're with us in the comments, go ahead and jump along. Like if we're on our ninth, let us know what your ninth is, or go ahead and drop your whole top 10 albums. Like let us know what you've been listening to this year. We might have missed a couple that just sort of slipped under the radar. Yeah. So what you got next, Ant?
My ninth favorite album of the year was Boldy James, The Price of Tea in China. And he dropped the deluxe version as well, and he had another project that he just dropped recently. It was hard between all of these, even one more that he dropped. So I think he had 3 in totality. But I went with this one because this is probably what I went back to the most. Boldy is one of the newer members of Griselda. He is absolutely unbelievable. We spoke about him a couple times You feel me? But this is just pure lyricism with a super ominous flow and storytelling in grave detail. Bodie James is just fucking phenomenal when it comes to spitting, especially with that grimy shit. It doesn't really get too much better than that.
Facts. I want to shout out some of the people we got in the comments too. We got Andrew Cole, Trenton Ray. Jake is always in the comments with us. Corey. Just want to shout out some of the people we got chatting along with us.
Bartholomew.
Facts. Bartholomew, whoever that is. It's dope to have people jumping in the conversation, letting us know what they're listening to, what they like. So keep that up. Sheridan, what you got? What's the next album that no one knows? Oh, no, I actually know this one. I can't even make that joke.
Oh, so we got this one it hurt for me to have this low because I really connected with this album. Multiple songs I'm still listening to, even though it was an earlier in the year drop. But Modus Vivendi from 070 Shake. I think she's really, for the last like 2 years, I've been paying attention to her and her drops. She's a member, or I don't know if she still is, but I know she's been a member of Good Music for a while. And this album was just great. Songs like Rocket Ship, The Pines, Microdosing. It's a great mix of like electronic, hip hop, R&B is what I would call it. She puts in a little bit of everything. She's a very versatile artist. I've heard her rap her ass off. I've heard her sing like crazy. The emotion she puts in her music is like, there aren't a lot of artists that I think can put as much emotion into the type of music that she makes. And I was really impressed with what she did. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. And for it to be such an early in the year drop and for me to still be going back to it, like I said, that's rare.
This album was one that I was extremely excited for leading up to it, and then when it came out, it didn't disappoint me at all, which has been the nature of the year in some cases, but not here with this one. This one, it might be one of the only albums I think that is on 2 lists because this one's my fourth favorite album of the year because it's just so artistically pleasing to me. The amount of just of art in that, it might actually be 5th, but the amount of art in it is one of my favorite albums I listened to this year. So I'm right there with you, Sheridan. My girl actually got me this on vinyl for Christmas, so I'm excited to listen to it on
awesome.
that. Like, so this is a really dope album. So I'm right there with you. If you guys haven't heard it, check it out.
I remember how much you guys were praising this when it originally came out.
Did you get a chance to listen to it?
Certain parts of it. I didn't stick with me, and I definitely didn't check it out in totality. But everything I ever hear about 070 Shake is fucking phenomenal. People speak very highly of her.
Definitely.
She's just so multi-talented.
Facts.
My next album, my 8th favorite album of the year, was Bryson Tiller's Anniversary. When it first came out, I was kind of with everyone else in saying that it wasn't necessarily hitting, but I can't really deny the fact that I've listened to it a ton of times this year. I've become a big fan of Bryson over the last year and a half. Was listening to Trap Soul a lot at the beginning of the year. So listening to this one, it's hard to compare because it is very much trying to recreate the Trap Soul sound. But beyond that, I still enjoyed it a lot. It's hard for me to not put it on my list because it's my list of favorite albums. So definitely not one of the top R&B albums of the year, but one of my favorite albums to come out. So
That shit was dope.
Yeah, it was one that I liked the Drake song, and I liked like maybe one other song on there, but it didn't stick with me very long.
It was one I had to go back to it. You know what I mean? When I first heard it, I will absolutely admit that I was alongside a lot of other people in saying that it wasn't all that. But when I sort of stepped away from trying to compare it to Trap Soul and just listened to it in and of itself, I was fucking with it. So
I was talking to Kelsey about it.
Yo,
this
Bartholomew,
week,
fuck off. Talking about
yeah.
Andrew has no
that
music
kid's talking
taste. That's
mad
crazy.
shit.
He's out of here.
This Bartholomew kid, get him out of here.
Get him out of here. I was talking to Kels last week about Anniversary by Bryson, telling him that it just didn't stick with me the same as Trap Soul did. Of course, Bryson's always going to make good music. He's an extremely talented artist. But to me, it didn't feel the same as Trap Soul or on the same level, I guess. I didn't see the growth that I expected to see from him. But you cannot say anything negative of the project in terms of it's bad or this shit is whack. It is horrible music.
Absolutely not.
It just wasn't as
didn't show
impactful
growth.
to me.
Right.
Yeah, it just wasn't as impactful. It was still fire though.
And for me, yeah, nah, it was definitely fire. And when it first came out, like I gave it its week listen. Like it wasn't one that I listened to and I was like, nah, I'm never listening to this again. It just didn't stick with me. I love Trap Soul. That's obviously his best album. Me, I connected with True to Self, and Jake will say that shit is trash. But I liked True to Self. There were a lot of songs on there I was really into. And so for it to go back to, like, I felt like with this album, he went back to some of that Trap Soul sound, and it just didn't hit like Trap Soul hit, kind of like Anthony said.
Facts. And I won't disagree with any of that. It's just, like I said, top 10 favorites, it's got to be on there for me. And what you got next?
8th is something that people either have in their top 5 or they have in like they don't have it in their top 10 at all. You feel me? People either loved or hated this album, and it was Nas's King's Disease. You feel me? I thought it was a very good album, especially from a veteran, somebody that's such a legend and highly regarded as Nas, coming together with such a mainstream modern production, I guess, with still familiarity to the old school, paying homage. You know he's always going to come with his bars. He was introspective. He was articulate. I thought it was very powerful considering the times. When you need somebody, or there aren't too many artists considering how much people were struggling this summer amidst all of the police brutality, amidst all of the tension in rural communities. For somebody to come out like Nas with an album like King's Disease, it was just timely, I felt like. And he didn't really have too many misses on there. I skipped a couple tracks, but all in all, I thought it was fire.
Yeah, I love this album too, and it was easily one that made my top 20. There are so many great albums this year. It was tough for me to really put it in. If I were on another day, maybe it could have made my top 10. But honestly, when I came down to it, there were just so many good albums, and Nas is honestly, he's my like top 3 favorite rappers. I love him. This is honestly, I think this is one of his 5 best albums. Just in terms of hip hop, yeah, this was top 5 for me. But as you guys are gonna see, I don't have a lot of hip hop albums in my top 10.
Right. This is a top 5 Nas album, but it's not a top 10 album of 2020.
That's Sheridan for you. And I gotta run back on something I said earlier about Modus Vivendi. That's definitely not the only album that makes a double appearance, because this one is actually number 7 on my list. So me and Ant definitely cross over, and this one I really, really like this. And as funny as it is, I really haven't been a big fan of Nas leading up to this album. And that like it's not really a whole take on like his quality. I understand and appreciate Nas is very talented. He's just never made music for me. And for a while it became a joke between me and a friend I have that because I was a big Jay-Z fan, I was just like, Nas fucking sucks. Nas is ass. Even though I knew better, it was just a joke. But this project, it was undeniable for me. You know what I mean? I've kind of come around from can't even make the jokes anymore, because this Nas album was really, really dope. And as someone who doesn't generally listen to Nas, it was dope. And it might be because it came over a different style of production than we generally get with Nas, but it was a fucking great album. So it was definitely number 7 on my list. Sheridan, what was number 7 on yours?
Let's see what we got here. Oh, this one, I'm excited to talk about this one. Watch This Liquid Pour Itself from OK Kaya. This is one that's very easy listening for me. It's something I can put on in pretty much any type of setting, whether I'm chilling, I'm cooking, or I'm just playing Xbox. It's like, I would say it's the best way I could put it is like bedroom pop, but that's just that's really putting it in a box. OK Kaya is an artist that I wasn't introduced to until this year with this album. And there were a couple songs one of the songs made my top 10 songs of the year. Insert generic name. Yeah, I'm going to talk about my top 10 songs of the year, whether you want to or not. Insert generic name. That's a wonderful song. And the whole album, it just rides. It's something you can't hate on it. You listen to it and you're like, okay, this isn't for me. but you can't say it's bad. It's a really, really chill album that I would recommend to pretty much anybody to at least check out.
It's got a really dope name. Like I like the name of this album, but I've never heard of this artist at all.
It's fair. I hadn't heard of her before this year either, but until I heard this album, and I'm the type of person that goes searching for albums a lot of times, especially early in this year. Later in the year, I didn't have as much time. So I'm really not surprised that you haven't heard of her. I think there's most people that are going to be watching probably haven't heard of her. But that's why part of the reason I put it in here. I think that people really should check her out.
You don't put somebody in your top 10 albums of the year because you think people should listen to them. You put them
because
they have the
I
top 10
put it in my
albums
top
of the year.
5. It's easily a top 10 album of the year. Easily.
I'm not.
And it's way better than anything you put on your list because your list is garbage.
Because my list is garbage.
Well, my 7th was the same as Ant's 8th, so we can go ahead and jump right to Ant's 7th.
Boom. Yeah, it was King's Disease. I guess we don't got to talk about that any further. My 7th was Watch This Liquid Pour Itself by OK Cotton. My 7th album is Graph. You know, one of the best lyrical rappers that we have in New York. He dropped a project called Oracle 3 this year, and the features were fucking unbelievable. He had Benny the Butcher, he had Conway, he had Crooked Eye, he had Royce the 5'9", he had Hobson, Bun B. He had fucking everybody that you could really ask for to kill a project. Everybody came to rap. The beats were phenomenal. He did his thing on every single track. You feel me? Graph is an underappreciated gem in the hip hop community. He dropped a couple projects this year, but I had to throw this one on. You feel me?
I feel you.
Let's get it.
I have not. Bartholomew's going crazy in the comments. He's fucking going. He's out of control. I honestly haven't heard much from Graph before though, so I don't have much of a take on this album. But in terms of lyrical hip hop, I'm sure if people are looking for that, then this is definitely the way to go.
I like this album a lot. I actually like this album a lot. It didn't come in my top 35, but it was definitely my top 50. Graph's dope.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna continue to check him out because I think he's gonna get better.
That nigga is amazing.
Yeah, he's really dope, and that just goes to say I listened to a lot of albums this year, so I think Anthony only listened to these top 10 albums he picked, and that's why they're his top 10.
No, that's not true. I think Sheridan's been to too many Catalina wine mixers, and he.
That's funny. This next album Sheridan's got lined up is a hip hop album though, so we'll let him talk about it. Go ahead, Sheridan.
This one was another one. It hurt to not have in my top 5. If you asked me halfway through the year, it could have even been my number 1. This one's Alfredo from Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist. I love this album. I'm still bumping it. It just rides. It's one of those albums where like I play it from the start to the finish every time I listen to it. I don't really go and like play one song. It's very digestible. I think it's 7 or 8 tracks. All the features went crazy. And again, this is real. That's right there. That's if Anthony wants to talk real rap, this is real rap. And I'm sure it's in some other lists at some point. I think that in terms of hip hop albums, it's an easily a top 3 album of the year. I loved it a lot.
Maybe Sheridan should have made his top 10 hip hop albums list for the hip hop podcast.
Nah, this is favorite. This is favorite albums. I don't want to hear it. Nobody said top 10 favorite hip hop albums. It's
you got it. You got it. We were clear.
We get it.
Period.
You just don't listen to hip hop. We get it.
Facts. This Freddie Gibbs one. This Freddie Gibbs one. I would give Sheridan some credit for it if it wasn't on like every top 10 hip hop albums list. So he just be scoping the lists and picking what's number 1 or 2, and choosing Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs. He ain't even heard this album.
I know. He just heard The Alchemist produced it.
Nah, this one is one that I can say I've slept on. I've heard a lot of people talk about. You guys have talked about it so much that it was inevitably going to end up in both of your guys' top 10 lists. So I almost feel like I'm lacking not having it in mind, but I'll have to check it out because there's like 10 albums I actually made a list of last night that I'm like, how have I not looked at this one? Or like so many specific hip hop albums that, yeah, that one's definitely one I really gotta sit down and listen to.
Nah, no doubt. I remember initially you said that you weren't the biggest Freddie Gibbs fan, right?
Yeah.
I think we had that talk a couple months ago, and he was somebody that I slept on a couple years ago. I've heard about him probably 5-6 years ago, and I didn't get the chance to fully check out his discography until 3 years ago, 2 years ago. He doesn't really miss. You can go album for album in his discography, and everything is absolutely amazing. Alfredo, there's no exception. It's definitely a top rap album of the year. I'm just surprised Sheridan really sat down. Oh my God, shut your mouth.
It's better than Bandana.
It's
better than Bandana.
You didn't even listen to Bandana.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I love Bandana, but Alfredo was better.
Yo, nah, Bandana is probably better than this. I mean, I might even.
Bandana got carried by features.
Oh my God! What? Yo, wash your mouth, B. Wash your mouth, jeez. You guys still.
Did Freddie Gibbs have the best verse on that album? No.
Who did?
That's all I need to hear.
Tyler, the Creator. Like,
no, Pusha T had the best. Pusha T had the best verse on that album, 100%.
All right, bro. We're just gonna have to keep moving on because
Corey Loveless asked, "How have I not heard this album?" It's because I'm not gonna lie, bro. I be sleeping on the real hip hop artists in the mainstream, especially.
In the mainstream, yeah. He only listens to the lyrical upstate rap.
But then once we get to my top 10 of like lyrical artists from upstate, I try to keep it real with that. So, but it's tough.
It wasn't a top 10 lyrical rappers.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because that list will be much different.
Facts. What are we on? Number 7, number 6. Number 6 on my list was They's album, The Amanda Tape, or it was actually, I think, an EP. Well, this was a dope little R&B EP. I'm sure a lot of people haven't checked it out, but it's one that I've went back to a bunch. It was really easily consumable and just a really good R&B album from 2 artists, I believe, that I've never heard of. I know they have a couple of different projects out, but I've never heard of them before. I saw it and was like, this looks dope, and it turned out to be a really dope project. So it's one that I've listened to a lot, so.
I've heard great things about it. I haven't actually got a chance to check out, I think, any song, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this album, honestly.
Y'all are sleeping on R&B albums is the problem. But
sleeping on R&B albums, come on. I fucks with R&B. I love me some R&B, but I don't bump it when I'm by myself. Not a chance.
Fair enough.
If Frank didn't drop, I didn't hear any R&B. Nah, Weeknd had a great R&B.
Yo, are you?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
On,
and these are not even the R&B I listen to. I'm not trying to say it's top 10 R&B. It's like this year I specifically went out of my way to listen to more R&B. And definitely didn't listen to as much mainstream or even like hip hop in general. Listen to a lot more old stuff and local stuff. So my list is gonna be crazy, but that's okay. Like I said, I will easily say that this isn't like going to be on many top 10 R&B albums. It's just something I found and fuck with. So.
No, it's dope. I mean, that's one of the things I loved about doing this and looking at your guys' list is how different everybody's lists were. You feel me? It shows the different opinions and perspective clearly. When we listen to music and we rank it on the show, or we talk about different artists and play shit, you can see right here how different our opinions and perspectives are going to be almost. It's like a visual representation.
No doubt. That's an absolute fact. And your next album is one that does show up on everybody's list, so.
Yeah, this was a no-brainer. You feel me? And we even mentioned posthumous albums earlier in the podcast, you feel me? So Pop Smoke, Aim for the Moon, Shoot for the Stars. I thought they did a phenomenal job on this. You feel me? There was so many different hits. They orchestrated a great project for somebody that was dead, even though I think they said a lot of this shit was already organized and formatted before he actually passed. It's a shame what happened to Pop Smoke. But I knew this was going to be a no-brainer consensus pick for most people. For some reason, people either love or hate Pop Smoke. It's probably his voice or the type of music he makes. This album was really dope.
I'm gonna correct both of y'all because you said aim for the moon, shoot for the stars, and now Andrew typed it It's shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna talk more when it comes up on my list.
Oh shit! Well, thank you for the correction.
Yeah,
but
you know.
If that's how we're gonna do it, I'll wait for it to pop up on my list too. Sheridan, go ahead and what's your next album then?
So for my next pick, we're getting into the top 5 now. This is just one of my favorite artists over the last 2 years. I think she probably had the best album last year. Now with this next drop, within the first month of quarantine, she started doing this album, and by the end of the month, she had released it. This one's How I'm Feeling Now from Charlie XCX. I think she's on the cutting edge of sound right now. I don't really think there's many other artists that are putting out music that's so different and innovative into the industry and influential to a lot of other artists of her style and even some artists that aren't her style. It has a lot of really big bops. She has, like, the first song comes in Pink Diamond. That one just goes crazy. It's like a head rush. Like something you drive to at like 90 miles an hour. Don't do that. That's bad. But it's great. It's a great album. There's songs where she's like expressing. It's really the type of. It's how I'm feeling now. She talks about when she's in quarantine and she's all alone and she feels like she can't see any of her friends. She talks about wishing that she could throw a party, but that she can't, and just like there's a lot of different concepts within the album that she covers really well and in a more intricate way than I think most artists could. She talks about simple stuff, but is able to really articulate it in a very interesting way. And the sounds, I mean, you can't really say anything about the sound. It's just like the sound design is crazy. She produces most of her own stuff. She can pretty much do it all. And she's bad.
It only took you to get into your top 5 before someone finally agreed with you and said that this album was crazy. So Corey Loveless backed you up on a non-hip-hop album. You're good, bro.
This album is gas. No one could tell me that this album isn't a top 10 album. No one could tell me that.
Well, I think me and Andrew are both going to tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in our top 10, bro. Just believe it or not.
You didn't listen to it. Did you listen to it? No.
I tried to, bro. This is another artist. And granted, I have nothing to say because when I'm stepping out of my demographic, it's hard to speak objectively when preference is so much of what music is. So I did check this album out because you spoke highly of it, unless it was last year's album that I checked out because maybe you told me about them last year. It was dope. Cutting edge sound, yeah. Top 10 album.
Cutting edge sound, he says. Oh my God, we on the Cypher using industry buzzwords now. Cutting edge.
You know what? I didn't just say that for the first time. Oh my God, yo, Bartholomew is snapping right now.
Yes,
I gotta stop looking at the chat.
My next
What's
album,
poppin', Drew?
number 5 was 070 Shakes Modus Vivendi. I said enough about that one. Really dope album. I'm excited to listen to the vinyl I got, but. Yeah, if you haven't listened to that one, honestly, on my list, if there's some you haven't listened to and I have to suggest one you go out of your way to check out, it's that one because you will be put on to a whole different artist and hear some shit. So
I'm gonna have to check out the 070 Shake album. I haven't really got a chance to peep it. I've been sleeping. My number 5 album is another banger. It's Lil Baby, My Turn. I fucked with it. You feel me? Sheridan has an album on his list that is so bad that I can't believe he just fixed his lips to make that noise at me for this project. Lil Baby really stepped up his level of productivity and quality on this album. I think he had banger after banger. He rapped well. His sound was dope. I think this was his year. You feel me? He was definitely a top artist this year, undeniably, and it sneaked into my top 5.
He has had an undeniable year. Sheridan's gonna try and deny it all he wants, but Lil Baby's year has been fucking crazy.
He's just garbage.
He had a good year. That nigga was.
How did that happen?
Lil Baby, I'm gonna say this right here on the podcast. Y'all gonna get the exclusive. Lil Baby sings better than Sheridan.
Bro, you can't even understand. This dude sounds like he's off 2 perk 30s. This dude sounds like he's off 2 perk 30s whenever he raps, bro. I can't listen to it. My Turn was an okay album. There were some songs that were okay, but it wasn't in my top 50.
What, Baby and Baby Pluto is a top 3 album of this year.
Dang.
Whoa!
He's out here spoiling. He's out here giving spoilers just like Sheridan.
Come on, man. Come on.
That's hilarious.
Come on.
That's funny.
Let me just say,
Cut it out,
all I'm going to say about that is Lil Baby isn't even 50% as good as Lil Uzi or Future. So then when you combine the two of them, it's like he's not even 25%.
Dang, his math is wild. Corey was right. Fucking... This Lil Baby album is one that's on my list because I've heard some of the tracks on it, but I have not heard the whole thing from top to bottom. So it's on my list of albums I need to listen to, I should say, because I haven't caught the whole thing. But it's been on enough lists and been talked up enough this year that I really shouldn't come out of 2020 without having heard it. You know what I mean? So.
Nah, no facts. No facts. Sheridan has cap in his rap. I'm going to let that be known right now. He's wild.
I would have to talk about something crazy if I had cap in my rap.
Yeah,
talk about girls breaking my heart and shit. It ain't cap.
It is yeah, no cap there. Yo, what do you got? This next album is a little heartbreaky, ain't it? Sheridan, your fourth one?
Yeah, bro. This one's one that hit. This one's one that hit for me, and it was part of it was circumstantially some stuff that I was going through. It's really one that I connected with, had some of my favorite songs of the year on it. This one, CTV 3 from Jaden, Cool Tapes, Volume 3. A lot of people weren't total fans of this album, and I can understand from a perspective of someone who can't really relate to it. But for me, I really related to it. It connected to the stuff that I was going through. And I think Jaden is one of the more underrated artists out right now. I think people kind of like look at him in his dad's shadow. He's a far better artist than his dad ever was in terms of music. I don't know about acting, but in terms of music, he's a far better artist than Will was. And I think Will would say the same thing. He can pretty much do anything. Jaden's been showcasing his rapping ability for a while. He's shown a little bit of.
He definitely has the luxury to be more creative. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, no, he does. He definitely does, and he's going. And with this album, he's gone to the point where he's singing. I honestly didn't consider this a rap album. I considered it more of like an alternative
That's how come
pop
I made
album.
your top
He does.
10.
Yeah, exactly.
If
it was a rap album, it was not making his top 5.
Nope.
Not if it was a bunch of icons on it.
The Jaden album was alright. I fuck with Jaden Smith quite a bit. I think in some circumstances he's underrated to an extent, but I also think maybe within his realm he's a little overrated because when you find, and not you Sheridan, but like real diehard Jaden fans, they think he's like he's like a new Travis Scott or something in terms of creativity and shit. And I don't know if he's not or he is, but I don't think we're like there yet at all in terms of that. So.
Big facts. You know, Jaden is a phenomenal artist. I'm not gonna hold you, but this was not in my top 10. I remember Sheridan absolutely loved this album when it first came out. He predicted that this was going to be in his top 5 albums of the year. It's dope to see that you're still going back to it. But I don't think I went back to this after the first spin.
This was, for me, was like almost disappointing because, and that's because I wasn't familiar with the Cool Tape series and necessarily what I should have been expecting. Or maybe I am, and that's why I didn't really listen to those albums that much. But it like from what I've heard from Jaden, I like Jaden's music a lot, so I was anticipating this album, and then instead we just got something that was perfect for the heartbreak shit, but wasn't necessarily what I was looking for. So it makes sense that it's on Sheridan's list. I definitely see that. For me, my next album, my fourth album, is another one that I imagine a lot of people haven't checked out. It's an EP from Wale called The Imperfect Storm. This dropped right in the middle of the whole pandemic situation, or not the pandemic, but when everything was going crazy, when the George Floyd riots were happening, everything. Wale spoke on a lot of relevant stuff at the time that I felt was great to be touched on by someone like Wale who can lyrically just talk about some shit maybe that other people haven't. It's really short, easily consumable EP. So and one that I consistently went back to throughout the year. So, bro, I'm not trying to hide you out the picture. You keep getting frozen for one, and then for two, it keeps fucking making you disappear. So, I'm working.
Yeah, okay. You just don't want them to see how good I look.
The amount of behind the scenes work I'm having to do for this is actually frustrating. So
Sheridan is admittedly Bartholomew.
Exposed himself.
Nah.
But I don't know. Did either of you guys get a chance to check this one out?
I forgot the album that you just said.
The Wale album, The Imperfect Storm.
I did get to check the Wale album out when it first dropped. I did fuck with it. I think Wale is heavily underrated amongst his peers. Not like his peers underrate him, but comparatively to his peers, I think he's just as good as a lot of the people that make similar music to him. I think he's annoying as fuck sometimes. Not musically, just who he is and how much he complains. His personality definitely doesn't appeal to me, so I don't always check out his music right away. But he's a phenomenal artist, so I get around to it. This was something I did enjoy. It wasn't in my top 10 this year. I can't remember how many tracks it was, but it was kind of short, right?
Yeah, it was only like 7 tracks. So, but I literally like 5 out of 7. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a great percentage ratio right there. So Wale doesn't have too many misses in his discography, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I like the project too. I only listened to it probably twice. But it was a good album. It's just not really like something that I'm into. Wale's always been somebody that like I can listen to like when he drops and I don't dislike it. But it wasn't like a standout for me.
It was just like, and especially for the subject matter and the way he addressed it with that kind of sound felt very different to me. So I appreciated that as well. You know what I mean? It's like talking about relevant subject matter, but in almost like a pop way, and maybe not pop, but like in a more upbeat way, but still explaining some general shit. So, Corey Loveless, fuck your opinion. Wale is great. What you got at number 4, Ant? We've already talked about this album, but I'm sure you got something to say about it.
We already talked about this. Number 4, I got Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs. I think I covered most of what I had to say about it before. I love the features at 100%. The production came through on every single track. Freddie has a crystal clean discography to me. I don't know one album that he's truly missed at, especially in the past 5 years. He's going hit after hit, home run after home run, and this was a great length project. You feel me? I think he didn't overdo it, which he easily could have. I don't necessarily like it more than Bandana, but I don't think it's a step down. I just think Bandana was that amazing and that impactful on me last year.
Facts. So like I said, that album popping up on both your guys' lists and your guys' lists being so different, it says a lot about that album, I think, in terms of people should check it out like me if you haven't, because it's just obviously universally liked despite different tastes. So
Grammy
nominated too. I think is that the only album that we mentioned so far that's Grammy nominated? Oh no, King's Disease.
Nas, yeah.
Bet. Sheridan, what you got next? This is when your list gets a little crazy.
We're in the top 3 now?
Yeah.
We're in the top 3 now? All right. So we're going to talk about the album that's 100 times better than anything on Anthony's list. Baby X Baby Pluto Deluxe version by Future and Lil Uzi Vert.
I love that
shit goes so fucking hard.
He made sure to let us know it was the deluxe too, not just the shorter version.
Because Baby Sasuke is a top 10 song of the year, and that's on the deluxe. In general, there was maybe one song I didn't like on the deluxe, but the rest of it went crazy. When it originally dropped, it went crazy. There's probably not a single skip besides the first song on the deluxe. And Process will tell you that that's one of the best songs. I can't listen to it. But the rest of it goes so crazy, bro. I mean, Real Baby Pluto. Dude, there's just so many songs that go crazy, and it's something that I'm still going back and listening to every day. It's probably the only album that I listen to every day. It goes so hard. You get.
Tattletales is coming up. Just wait. Soon.
Fuck 6
Soon coming.
fuck 6ix9ine. His music used to go hard, and Title Tales was okay, but he's a bitch.
Dang, go back to our recap
Baldwin,
episode last week,
Tony
and you can hear
Kugo.
Sheridan talking how much he loved Tekashi. So
I used to like Tekashi, but when he talks about people's dead friends, I can't get behind that. That was where I was like, nah. I can't really support this guy anymore. I don't really care. I don't like if he wants to snitch, he wants to snitch. That's not something that I'm gonna like is gonna make or break an artist for me. But if you're gonna disrespect somebody's dead friends and the person whose best friend just died, I got no stomach for that. But yeah, Pluto X Baby Pluto, instant classic. Shit is fire.
Corey Loveless said it was mid. I agree with Corey Loveless. Finally,
Corey doesn't know what he's talking about.
Took half an episode, but finally Corey Loveless has my support.
Nah, y'all are fucking. Y'all just don't have good ears.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to give too much shit to a Future and Lil Uzi Vert album when my next album is the MGK album. I fucked with Tickets to My Downfall though. It was one that I really liked, but it definitely highlights my casual listener Midwest vibe. But in terms of like, it incorporates a lot of sounds that I fucked with when I was younger, so I'm all about it. Sheridan, you didn't like this album as much, though, right?
That's how I feel. It's like, yeah, this would have been really great if it came out in like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. But no, I can't. You can't talk about Baby Pluto, which is an instant classic, and then say the Frat album of the year is in your top.
Did you just say an instant classic?
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
You just said Baby Pluto is an instant classic.
Easily.
Anyways, what about Tickets to My Downfall? You're going on.
It sounds like a Paramore and Blink-182 ripoff. MGK, I don't want to hear his voice over that type of music. So
you would rather hear him rap, is what you're saying?
I would rather not listen to MGK. I would rather just not listen to MGK. Period. I think he's garbage.
You're hating, bro.
You like G-Eazy though.
You're big hating.
G-Eazy's better than MGK, but I don't listen to any of G-Eazy's new music.
There's like 5 new Kannon gifts ruined from this one, Sean. You got it. 100%.
Bro, all I'm gonna say is everybody I know
this is the worst album on all the lists. First of all, I fucking knew that this was gonna be the one that everyone didn't like.
Everybody I know that's in a frat. Everybody I know that's in a frat loves this album, and my little sister loves this album.
Let me get those college white boys in here, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, Andrew's got the best list."
Yeah, no, this is like what people smoke cigarettes and drink Busch Light to.
That's rude. And what you got at number 3, bro?
Not none of y'all bullshit. That's for damn sure. Jesus Christ, Baby Pluto is an instant classic, my guy. Come on.
Easily.
Come on.
It's not even debatable.
Nah, I'm not. You're right. I'm not debating this. This is heavily undebatable. At number 3, I have a fucking gem, which I think is the best Griselda release of the year, which is very controversial. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I think the best Griselda release out of any artist this year was Pray for Paris by Westside Gunn. I think production, fucking phenomenal. I think the features were absolutely unbelievable. He stacked the deck on this album. Westside Gunn upped his rapping ability compared to a lot of his projects. His ad-libs are art. The way he conducts music is honestly, he's just a pioneer, you feel me? And I feel like my album list is saving everything. You feel me? I feel like my album list is like credibility right now.
I can't say much about this one. This is a good album. This is a good album, and I'm not going to argue with this at the top 10. This is one of my favorite albums when it came out.
I think this was one rap album in particular that could have definitely got nominated for a Grammy compared to the albums that they did choose. I think this very easily could have. But it easily made my top 3. King to a God might have had better bars, but no, it was not a better album to me. Conway is a phenomenal rapper, but Westside Gunn did art with this. He absolutely did art, and so this was a no-brainer top 3. It was just where I wanted to put it.
Facts.
I can't argue with this. I love Pray for Paris. It didn't make my top 10, but it was definitely in my top 20. So.
It's a testament about Griselda's year that each one of them had great albums that easily, like, you could probably make a top 10 that is 75% Griselda albums, and people would like those lists way more than mine and Sheridan's list easily. Like, and it would be valid because they produced really, really good albums this year. So it was a great year for Griselda.
Yeah, it's a great year.
Corey needs to shut up in the comments, bro.
Yeah, Corey is tripping right now, saying West Side doesn't say much. He has a lot of ad libs, and he's probably the worst rapper in Griselda.
He's the best artist.
Name one quotable.
Probably name one quotable, my nigga. A chicken spot is a West Side Gun song. What did you just say? That's a quotable right there, son.
That's funny. Sheridan, we got you. What's your number 2? What's your number 2 album? You can finally start talking about Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke, shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. Great album. There are out of in the deluxe. Even with the deluxe, there are not many skips on it. It's like 1,000 songs, but I still listen to most of all of them. And wow, dude, like I was not a big Pop Smoke fan before this album. I liked certain songs. His last album he put out had a lot of skips for me. Besides songs like Invincible and a couple other I won't name. This one was just crazy. He showed the versatility. He showed so many different things that he could do, and it's honestly it's so sad the fact that he didn't get to continue to build on a lot of those sounds that he brought. What You Know About Love was one of my favorite songs of the year, and there's just so many great songs on that. Imperfections was a great one on the deluxe. And in general, he had it all. He had the bangers, he had the love songs, he had the real shit. I really just enjoyed it. I don't think that I couldn't see how it wouldn't be a top 10 album, and it makes sense because I think we all put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we all had this one up. We all had this one up there for us. And that just goes to show. I think this is the only album that made all of our top 10s. And I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one is my number 1 album. So I really fucked with this one all year. I was going back to a lot of different tracks off of it. There's a lot of tracks on the deluxe version, but I really couldn't go without the deluxe because there's like 4 or 5 that I've been listening to a lot off of the deluxe. So the whole thing is really dope. It's hard to deny this project, you know what I mean, in terms of how much critical acclaim it's gotten throughout the year. So
no doubt. Pop Smoke really was. He could have taken over the world, bro. He was really about to.
That's one of those things that, like,
where's Bosky for?
Yeah, he did say where's Bosky for. I was gonna let that slide.
I know he's memeing though. We have a friend that thinks Comethazine is the best hip hop artist out right now, and he seriously thinks that.
So why are you explaining jokes then? You know that's not funny.
You do this all the time, bro. Come on, just let it rock.
Just let it rock, bro.
But to Sheridan's point about it's a major disappointment we don't get to see Pop sort of expand on these sounds, and I almost wonder what he would have released had he been alive, you know, because there was a lot of different stuff in this. Would he have tried to just do one album of one sound rather than the variety of what we got from this release? So it was a great project, and without a doubt a testament to what we missed out on coming from him. So.
No doubt, and it's beautiful that his family gets to recoup a lot of the dollars from this album. So stream it as much as you can.
Absolutely, and it's one that's been in the top 10 on Billboard all fucking year since it's released. Like, and they've utilized so many smart, different release strategies from it too that it's hard not to take notice to everything that's come from this project, even after his passing. So, Pop Smoke was definitely on a crazy rise, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see that. My number 2 album is from another artist who passed away, Mac Miller's Circles. This was one that dropped early on in the year, but one that stuck with me throughout the year. A lot of tracks on it that I really just can either relate to or vibe with, and it was tough to get through early on in the year just because it was a posthumous album from an artist that I had listened to for a long time, had a strong relationship to as a fan-artist situation, been to a lot of concerts and stuff, so it was undeniable that this would be one of my favorite albums this year. But then just the creativity and the artistic value of it, I can't not have it in my top 10, so especially just with what I have listened to this year.
For me, I'm going to give this as the sole reason that this didn't make my top 10. I put it in my honorable mentions. Mac Miller's my favorite artist of all time. I couldn't think of who would be second. This album, while I didn't like it as much as Swimming, the reason that it didn't make my top 10 isn't out of quality. It was really out of the fact that it was almost impossible for me to listen to without like bawling my eyes out. So songs like Blue World were ones that I went back to a lot because it wasn't quite as sad. But going back to listen to that was just too hard for me. So while I have given it quite a few spins, it's just been tough. It's tough for me to actually listen to. And all the albums that I have on here have gotten quite a few more spins. Just they don't make me cry. I don't want to cry when I listen to music all the time. And it's just it's tragic that I lost my favorite artist and biggest influence. And I think there will be a time where I can really go back and give Circles the flowers it deserves. I got a vinyl from my sister, the limited edition vinyl for Christmas. That was like, I cried when I got the vinyl. So it's just, that goes to show how much that artist meant to me. R.I.P. Mac Miller. That's really all I gotta say.
Yeah, he made this podcast depressing as fuck real quick.
Right? But hey, that's what comes, I guess when we got to talk about so many different posthumous albums. But yeah, this one wasn't one that I like. It definitely impacted me early on listening to it, and it's just a really good album. So it's one that I continue to go back to. I have a vinyl of it, but not the limited edition one that Sheridan's got. I seen that earlier and was excited about it before Sheridan got it. So when he got it, I was a little jealous as a Mac Miller fan, but hyped for my boy.
I couldn't even. I tried to get it myself, and I couldn't even get it. And I don't know how my sister got it because it sold out so fast.
That's dope. So.
Must have paid that resale price.
Yeah, right.
What you got at number 2, Ant? Seeing as you got the perfect list.
I ain't say perfect. I just said better than y'all bullshit.
Carrying the episode.
Yeah. At number 2, this probably isn't a surprise. It's my pick for what I hope.
It's a surprise. It's not number
year.
1.
Nah, because I'm objective. You feel me? I'm not that biased. This is Royce da 5'9", the Allegory. I thought it was an amazing project, which is also the first self-produced album in his discography. My biggest criticism about the project was the production, and I still really liked it. I just think typically, like some J. Cole albums suffer from, is the lack of diversity in the production. Even though J. Cole and Royce, are phenomenal producers. I think the topics that he discussed on this were very powerful. I think he's an amazing storyteller. It's true grown man raps. You feel me? All the features came to hit. I love it when he has his little brother on a track, which is Kid Vicious. So Royce da 5'9" had a really solid album, and it made me happy that he got nominated for a Grammy, especially this late in his career.
Yeah, this was a dope album. It wasn't one that necessarily stuck with me, but it is one that I listened to front to back and had to appreciate the lyricism on it. There was some of the content, and I think he cleared it up after the release of the album and sort of was able to explain it a little more. But the problem with that is I'm not really a huge Royce fan, so I didn't go to find out or read his follow-up and explanation to it. So all I really got was the content side of him sort of being, like, from what I took from it was like anti-vax, conspiracy theory type shit, which was weird. It was just weird.
If you gotta explain it after, you didn't do a good enough job explaining it in the music. And Royce's bars speak for himself. He's one of the best, like undeniable, one of the best lyricists out. This album just did not hit for me.
If you have to explain it, the music wasn't. What are the point of interviews?
Because he's gotta go and explain. He's got to go and explain the fact that he's not an anti-vaxxer afterwards, and he can't make that clear within his. That, for me, that is a dangerous thing to push. If you're someone who's a casual fan and you go and listen to that album, and you don't go listen to Royce in an interview, or you don't follow him on social media.
This is coming from a nigga that said he might not get the COVID vaccine.
I might not. That's a totally different thing. Most vaccines take 10 years to come out, and actually, I've been reading a lot, and I've been reconsidering my opinion on that. And again, I ain't putting out music. I ain't putting out music telling people to go get the vaccine. I'm not encouraging anyone else to not go get the vaccine. I'm just not sure whether I'm gonna be getting it as soon as it drops and as soon as I'm able. But in general. I think that especially after listening to the Book of Ryan, this album doesn't hold a candle to that. The allegory, lyrically, it was great, but in terms of a lot of the subject matter he was on, I just couldn't get behind it.
I understand what you guys are saying. You feel me? I could see that it wasn't in either of your guys' top 10 albums. I thought lyrically it was a phenomenal project. The anti-vax bars did not string me as odd because I've heard Royce and on different occasions reference stuff like that in past albums. You feel me? And I think if you're a diehard Royce fan, or if you've checked out his full discography, you would know where he stands on this. He didn't have to explain himself fully on this because he's done it in the past. So I can't blame you guys for not being privy to that. You always got to do damage control. You always want to clear up a misconception if people perceive something one way. I don't think that's wrong or weird. People always take a narrative and run with it. And even the first time that I heard the project, I assumed that what he meant was that he was an anti-vaxxer. You feel me? But I don't judge him for that. I know people that think the earth is flat. I know people that think the Holocaust didn't happen. You feel me? I judge them for that. Like I'm dead ass. You feel me? Like, I can't blame him for his own beliefs because it's not as radical as saying some stupid shit like that. You feel me? I enjoyed the album. I thought it was great, and it easily made my top 5. Landed in my top 2 spot.
Bet. Let's get to Sheridan's top 1. We could see if people are gonna ride with him or if they're gonna clown him on this one. I'm excited to see. What you got at number 1, Sheridan?
The undeniable best album of the year. We got Taylor Swift.
This is such a weird Folklore. Take for a podcast called The Cypher.
We got Taylor Swift, Folklore. She tells a story. Each track there's no skips on Folklore. It's a beautifully written album that she really changed up her genre with this. I've always kind of been a little bit of a Taylor Swift fan. But I've never come even close to connecting with one of her albums like this. She's one of the few artists with over 5 classic albums. This, I think, was probably her 7th. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The story that it tells is self-explanatory. But if you're able to go and listen to her talk about it or read about some of her descriptions, it makes it even that much better.
You shouldn't have. If you have to explain it, and they can't get it from the music.
I said she did it. I said it's self-explanatory. But what I'm saying is, it just gets even better if you're able to go and read what her inspiration behind was. And I think that the deluxe, it was only one song that was added, and I thought that was interesting. But I really liked the one song that she added. And it showed to be for a reason. She ended up dropping another album towards the end of this year called Evermore. It definitely was not as good as Folklore. There were some really great tracks on there. Some of them felt like Folklore throwaways. But in general, songs like Exile with Bon Iver, songs like Invisible String, Mad Woman. She really covers a lot of different topics and is able to tell a story that she isn't necessarily about her own life. She's really telling a story about these other people that she's met, and it's a very interesting way, or it's a very interesting perspective to hear from. And I think it's an album that whether you're a teenager or you're a grown man, you can relate to it. And I'll say that because I think this was one of my dad's favorite albums of the year.
Damn, so you threw your dad under the bus just to validate your bad opinion.
Come on,
rough. That's fucked up.
This is a great, bro. I don't know anybody who has a respectable music opinion that doesn't think this is a great album. And honestly, if you have all 10 rap albums, I don't care about your opinion. Because I listen to so many albums. And
this nigga,
you sound like the Donald Trump of music right now.
This nigga just took a shot at me, and I was just being quiet.
I listen to all of the albums.
You should continue to be quiet, because this is album of the year, no fucking debate.
You got niggas hitting my phone right now while we podcast.
He said Cardigan fire. He said Cardigan fire. Thank you, Nick Van Dunk. Thank you, Cody O'Connell. Second best album of the year. It's the best, but I love it.
This nigga Sheridan is looking for anybody to validate his opinion.
Everybody validating except for Corey's stupid ass.
You go, Queen.
You got it, bro. Yeah, you got it. Folklore album of the year.
Folklore album of the year. And if you haven't heard it, then I don't want to hear your opinion.
Just remember, if you don't make Sheridan's top 10 rappers list, he put Folklore at his number 1 Taylor Swift album list. So you might not even want to make. If you make Sheridan's list, it might be a bad.
If you want to talk about lyricists, Taylor Swift is a better lyricist than anyone on Anthony's list, and that's just factual.
We always gotta shut him down with the Taylor Swift rants. Let's get it, Ant. What's your last track?
Nah, B, I'm gone until Sheridan recants that last statement.
Better lyricists than anyone on your list, that's a factual. More classics than anyone on your list, that's a factual.
Come on, man. Yo, I can't believe y'all letting this man talk right now.
He's out of control.
Can we please get a replacement?
Yeah, we're taking casting for new co-hosts for the Cypher. Send your resume in to Upstate.
I tried to quit before this episode, and they wouldn't let me. They were like, "We need you, Sheridan. Stay on the podcast, please."
You tried to quit before this episode, and then this nigga came back begging for his job, talking about.
Are you guys sure I can't come talk about Taylor Swift for a little bit tonight? Yo, Pop Smoke.
All I'm saying is Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, we got it.
Yo, Sean. Come on, bro. I'm done with this nigga. Taylor Swift is more lyrical than and oh my god,
far more lyrical than
This is out of control. Pop was my number 1. We've talked a lot about that album. So, Ant, what was your number 1 album? This one I'm actually excited to talk about because when it came out, you were saying that it might be your album of the year. So,
no doubt. And this came out early. I think this came out in the spring. You feel me? So it stood the test of time the whole fucking year. Yeah, facts. Taylor Swift don't even write her shit.
That's not facts. Go look at her. You're a fucking idiot if you do that. She writes all her shit. Corey is literally talking out of his asshole right now. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Yo, Sheridan, fuck you, bro.
Nah, see, I don't. You know I don't like those. You know I don't like that type of woman.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my favorite album of the year is actually from a Syracuse artist. Out of everything that dropped this year, this is what I listened to most, without a doubt. I'm not saying it's the best album of any genre. I'm not saying it's even the best hip-hop album this year. I do think it's the best new artist. I would put Stove God up there for like freshman of the year type shit, if debut of the year, if they had a category like that. Right here, he's from Syracuse, New York, and when I first heard about him, he dropped the first lead-up single, Break the Pyrex, to this, and I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this? Never heard of him before, but Rock Marciano produced it, and I absolutely love Rock Marciano. He's somebody that has an insanely underrated discography. a true gem to New York hip hop. And whenever I see his name attached to something, I click it. Stove God Cooks came with some of the best coke drug rap that I've heard in a long time. So creative.
You're breaking up a little bit, Ant.
This had it all. And there was no features on it, if I remember correctly. And that's something that really, really holds weight to me. When you can have an album with no skip, there's something close to a skip. Gloria Blemente. I don't listen to that every time I go through the project, but when I listen to this project, I typically go front to back, and I can do that once a day if I want to. So this was absolutely a no-brainer for me, and I can't wait for his next project.
Yeah, that's one that I haven't gotten a chance to check it all out. I listened to some of it, but Zoe as well has talked a lot about this on Instagram and Snapchat and stuff about this project and how much he's listened to it. I feel like if you've checked it out, if you've checked out Stove God, you're kind of in. You're in for the ride. You can keep listening to that album over and over because he's so good. It's just a matter of getting past. He's got a different name, you know what I mean? Stove God Cooks. It's a great name. I don't hate it. I'm just saying it's a different name. It might be different for people to check out an artist named Stove God Cooks, but once you can get past that,
I didn't even get the name at first. You feel me? It's kind of like a double entendre. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh damn, it says that we have trouble playing this video. I'm not sure if that's what it says for y'all. But Stove God Cooks. His name is Aaron Cooks or something, if I remember correctly. So he's just Stove God. You feel me? And when I found that out, I was like, oh, everything makes so much more sense. But it's also a bar because Stove God Cooks. Like for
facts, makes sense. Looks like the stream is doing alright. I think we're good.
I listened to this album once. It just wasn't for me. I don't think I didn't like how he was. I didn't like how he was placing the melodies. I don't think he's a very good singer. He was alright. It was an okay album. Didn't make my top 50. But I can see how some people would like it. It just definitely is not for me. If he drops another album, I'm going to be excited to pick it out. Go ahead.
Nothing. I was just going to talk shit. No need to talk shit.
I'm not even trying to talk shit. I respect the pick. It was just far from something that was for me. I just wasn't. I listened to it and I didn't really like it. Maybe if I go and listen to it again, I'll like it more. I doubt it though.
He reminds me a little bit of a West Side Gun that raps better. You feel me? So I'm kind of surprised that you don't like him more, because he has that creativity. And
there were moments.
Moments. He's absolutely phenomenal, bro. And I can't blame him.
I think he's talented for sure. I think he's talented for sure, and it's an artist I'm excited to check out to see what he keeps going with. It just this album specifically didn't hit for me.
And he's had a crazy year too. So I mean, for Upstate and wanting to see continued success throughout Upstate, someone like Stove God continuing to do well for himself is obviously just good for the entire area. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I said, I wasn't surprised when I saw that at the top of Ant's list. It came as no surprise to me actually, even though it's not an album I know a lot of people have checked out because I know Ant checked it out early and liked it. So that wraps up the top 10 albums we were going to talk about. Now we're going to get into the shit that I know a lot of people are tuned in for, that they really are curious to hear our thoughts on in terms of the top 10 Upstate artists of 2020. We went through last couple days and each made up our own list kind of based on our own structured criteria, right? Like we didn't have a set criteria necessarily. Ant kind of set his own criteria for himself. We're going to go through the top 10, then we'll give our honorable mentions at the end in terms of people that maybe didn't make it because they just didn't release as much content this year as everyone else was, or the content that we heard we didn't necessarily vibe with, stuff like that, but we absolutely still appreciate what they've done as artists throughout the year. So we'll go through that part at the end. That way we're not giving away who is or isn't making the list. But Sheridan, we're going to start with you again, bro. You're going to tell us who is...
That's not fair.
It's the way the stream is set up. Your camera comes first. It's consistent,
bro, that's
stupid.
Not fair. Nah, I ain't doing it. Nah, all right. at my number 10 spot is an artist I really like. I've been a fan of since even before this year. Just out of pure uh, content and just consistency. I had to go with Blaine Bent right here. He the reason that I don't have him higher on this list is because he simply, in terms of, this is a list in terms of how good or how well they did this year. I feel like Blaine Bent really set a foundation for himself this year, but in terms of streaming success, he didn't do quite as well as a lot of the artists that I named higher on this list. That's not to say that his quality was lower. It's just in terms of the impact that he made. But I mean, to make the top 10 is amazing. He's one of my favorite artists out here. I've been able
to make the top 10 is more than amazing. You know what I mean? Like, there's like fucking 40, 50, 60. Once you really start breaking down the number of artists from Upstate, it's crazy.
I was whoa! Yeah, like, I can't forget this guy. Like, I can't believe the people who made this list really went crazy. Whether you're the first or the last or the 10th. You all had a great year, and Blaine Bent was top 10, bro, easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, Blaine is someone that didn't.
Blame you on there.
Yeah, Blaine is someone that didn't make my top 10 personally, and that's simply based on my personal amount of I've listened to him. I haven't taken the time to check out Blaine's music because and that's on me, but it's a situation of I'm like, well, Blaine's gonna drop again next week, let me check that out. And so I'm late to the Blaine Bent show, but he's someone I definitely had in terms of my honorable mentions because you can't look at Blaine and say anything but how much he's put out. You know what I mean? Like, the quality of the music and the quantity of music is undeniable. It's just a matter of I haven't heard it, so I don't really feel comfortable placing it on my top 10. But Blaine is without a doubt a great artist out of Upstate and continues to show that when he does release at such a high rate. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. Blaine is somebody I cannot be mad at all. He knows exactly how I feel about him, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit more later in my list, actually.
Absolutely.
What was your number 10, Andrew?
Number 10, sort of probably for a similar reason to Sheridan, based upon the amount of music just put out last year, by Ryan Bronson. He's someone we talked about probably almost every episode of the Cypher when we talked about music released. Is Bronson was dropping a new track almost every week. And accumulating streams along with that, having quite a few monthly listeners on Spotify and streaming services, which is also something that I just had to take into account in making this list. So he has a ton of music out there. He took supreme advantage of the pandemic and just working with an artist who is or with a producer who's really great too. All the work he did with Jake obviously has helped him, but then just what he does on his own as well has been good. He puts out, like, records live videos of him just making music. Like, he does so much that to not have included him in my top 10 list would have felt like I just had to include him for that part, because he puts so much into not just making the music but the alternative side that a lot of other artists in Upstate should try to mold themselves after, you know?
No doubt. I had Ryan Bronson in my honorable mentions list because exactly the reasons that you had. The work ethic, phenomenal. He had a couple pretty successful tracks as well. You can't really deny somebody who dropped a song every week for a whole year. That's 50 plus tracks. He had some low-level industry features as well. So you're right, he really did take advantage of the pandemic. So props to him.
Yep, it's just when someone continues to work, and it wasn't low quality music in terms of, like, just sound in general. So to put in the effort as well, like, you're not just recording once a week into a mic and putting up a shitty mix and just throwing it up. Like, it's a good effort in what he's also putting out, which goes a long way as well. So yeah, shout out to Ryan Bronson. Keep it up. Great year for him, honestly. It's hard to think of how much more he could have done with that. It was a great year. So.
Shout out Ryan Bronson.
What you got at number 10, Ian? Your list is the one that Richie has been asking us about for months now, so I'm excited.
Richie didn't make his top 50.
This is a different list than what Richie's been asking me for. Richie's been asking me for my favorite artist in Upstate for 2020. I had to take all preference aside when I made my list here and look at it objectively based off how many songs people put out during this year, the quality of the songs put out this year, how well they performed in terms of streams, and what type of impact they had on their community or the local rap scene in general. So this isn't my top 10 favorite artists in the area. This is just who I think had really, really good years in general. So to start off at number 10,
Ant shooting himself so much bail before he even says a single name for his list. He's like, "Yo, don't get mad. Don't get mad.
Niggas,
this is
you know,
anybody who didn't make Anthony's top 10, he thinks it's garbage.
Nah, y'all try to lead this up like this was a list that Richie asked for. Richie asked me who I thought the top 10 rappers, lyricists were in the area. So don't gas this up. I just had to preface it correctly. My top 10, my number 10 is Corey Loveless. You know, I think he just dropped one of the best albums that this area has seen in a little bit in terms of content, in terms of cohesion, storytelling. The features all came through as well. The production was phenomenal. And he dropped a couple tracks throughout the year as well before this point. He didn't have the most active beginning of 2020, but he did drop a couple videos. He did drop a couple singles. He was putting in work. And the album that he had towards the end of the year, a couple weeks ago even, really solidified his spot on the top 10 to me. I think he did a great job. And the music video that he dropped to go along with the project was great.
Absolutely. I have Corey on my list, so I have more to say about him in a little bit, and so will Sheridan, I imagine. So, who you got next, Sheridan? Who you got in at number 9?
Who I have at number 9? Oh, this is my boy Corey Alexander. He coming in at number 9. He was what was it? The first episode of the podcast is when we discovered him, or was it the second?
I discovered him. Yeah, I'm the one who brought us our guy Corey Alexander.
Andrew gets all the credit. Thank you, Andrew, because he's definitely one of my favorite artists out here. And if he had dropped more music, he would have skyrocketed up this list for me. But in terms of what he did drop, he didn't really have any misses. He had ones that maybe weren't my favorites, but he just went crazy. I know he's been making a lot of moves as well. He's been going coast to coast over and over again, just networking and doing a lot of good stuff. Wish Us Luck is one of my favorite songs that came out this year, and not just locally but in general. And he dropped another good song recently, Jealousy and Conflict. Had a great feature on it, a really great video. He makes his own videos, which I think is like amazing. And he you can tell he's a vet. He's been doing this for a while. And I think these next couple of years are going to be big for him.
Absolutely.
No doubt. I'm glad that Corey is somebody that I come to find out through or be aware of through this podcast. You feel me? If it wasn't for Upstate Aesthetic and the show that we've been doing, I'm not sure when I would have found out about him. His music is very phenomenal. I can't be mad at all at him being top 10.
Exactly, and he's someone that just randomly popped up on my timeline one day, so I'm excited that we've been able to network and connect with Corey over the last year. He's someone I'll have a little bit more to say about later, but number 8 on my list, or number 9, I should say, on my list is someone that he dropped a project earlier in the year. We talked about it on the show. He's also dropped quite a few music videos that I really, really liked, and he's had a decent but quiet year, and that's Ty Burst. He's someone that I've wanted to talk about on this list because he's had a decent year, you know what I mean, in terms of the music he put out. I fucked with the music videos he put out, did relatively well on YouTube, streamed well. I think Ty's a great artist and is going to have an even better next year as he gets more into networking and working with the right people. But I thought he had a solid EP and his music videos were dope, so easily someone that I could slot into my top 10.
You cut out a little bit at the beginning of your statement. I couldn't hear the name that you said.
Oh, word? Nah, Ty Burst is number 9 on my list.
Ty Burst.
Facts.
Okay.
He's someone that has had a really solid year. Like I said, he dropped
Amazing.
Bigger Dreams, I think was the name of the EP or mixtape.
Yeah, the little EP.
And it was good. It was a really solid project, and the music videos I think are what sort of pushed me to put him on this list. Is that he worked hard to put out some of the higher quality music videos of this year. You know, in just terms of quality and like shooting quality and stuff like that. Even adding a little bit of story to a couple of them. And fun to the Halloween ones he put out. Like, he had 3 or 4 really, really great videos. So, shout out to Ty Burst. I think he had a phenomenal year, and I'm excited to see what he does next year.
Nah, shout out Ty Burst for real, because he did have a really strong year this year, especially towards the beginning. He dropped the EP a little bit ago, and my favorite thing that he had were the music videos. You're absolutely right when you say that, how creative some of them were and just visually appealing. He always has some lit shit going on. You feel me? Different settings, always fun. He's always around different people. He's somebody that I always bump when I'm in the car with friends when I'm putting them on to new upstate artists. So shout out Burst.
Thanks. Who you got at number 9, Ant?
Who do I have at number 9? At number 9, I have my man T Melly, who is somebody that just really bursted into the scene this year in terms of most people that know of him. But I think that the ground that he was able to cover in 1 year is absolutely amazing. He has some really great music out there. He dropped an EP earlier this year called Dying to Live. And he's kept the whole year flooded with singles. He's dropped videos. He's been very good on his marketing throughout the whole year. It's only gotten better. I think he's done some wild features. I think he's worked with a bunch of different artists and has been killing his lane. And I only expect to see that elevate in the future.
Yeah, T Melly is one that over the course of this year, when he first dropped that EP, I liked it. And then I was like, that made me keep checking him out. And then he dropped a bunch of just loose singles after that like I feel the build with what T Melly's done this year. He actually is 8th on my list, so I'll just piggyback off of that and get my 8th out of the way right now, because he had a really strong year. He had some really good music that I especially liked. His EP I really fucked with in terms of music that came out from Upstate this year. And then I want to say the track he did with Nazi is one that I really liked. But T Melly has had a great year. He's someone that you can go to as a producer as well and work with in that realm, and I think can be a positive aspect as well. Like he's a dope dude from what I could see and what he's willing to do in terms of helping out. It's similar to what Jake has done with some of his artists. So some of the artists he's worked with, I should say.
No, absolutely. I love chopping it up and working with T Melly. But aside from that, I think just this year, he really laid some solid foundation. He connected with the right artists, I would say, at least locally. And it's going to help him throughout all of 2021 and in the future in general. I think next year is going to be even better for him based off the conversations that we've had.
Facts. So I think that...
I ain't going to speak on T Melly yet because he's on my list later.
Bet. So who you got next, Sheridan?
Who I got next? I got St. Kid. Young man, the youngest guy on this list.
Easily.
He's just had a crazy year. So many singles that go hard. And I mean, he subject matter, it's maturing slowly. And honestly, he's one of my favorite artists out here. He's putting out great music consistently. He's got his social media on lock. He's just doing a lot of the right things that I can say I was not on that level when I was his age. I wasn't even making music when I was his age, not even as a joke. I started making music as a joke, and it took me a couple years to get on the level that I'm on now. And it's really inspiring to see someone at his age being able to put out quality music consistently keeping the social media on lock.
Absolutely.
Saint Kid was a lock. Saint Kid is somebody that I had in my list at a top 5. If I'm gonna be honest, originally when I made my list, he was top 5, and I actually moved him back to an honorable mention. It's not even on my top 10 because I figured if I were to remove all bias away from it, I think single for single, he might have had the best and most quality single run out of any artist in Upstate locally that we know of. But he only had 7 or 8 of them. He didn't drop a project, and I think he was just getting his feet wet this year. I think next year he's really gonna fucking take over. And I could have had him really anywhere on the list. He had that type of year. I do want to give him his roses. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at that pick at all.
Word, he's actually 7th on my list, so I can knock that one out too right now. Just might as well with the way the flow's going. He has been such a great artist this year. He's someone that I've constantly gone back to listen to. The tracks he has put out have been played by me at least 10, maybe 50 times. It just consistently listen to what he's got going on. He's super talented, and he produces a majority, if not all, of what he does himself. And that's something my little brother wants to be a producer, or was working on being a producer and getting into that realm. And Saint Kid is someone I go back to all the time and referencing, like, dude, there's someone this young doing this. You can do the same thing. Just get on that same wave, network with the right people, do the right things. And so even at his age right now, he's already kind of somewhat of a role model in a sense, because of how young he is and how much he's doing. It's incredible. So at times I'm almost like, damn it, why isn't he doing more in terms of media or something like that? But then I remember how young he is, and I'm like, he's already so far ahead that you're comparing him to essentially adults. So he's undeniable as an artist and someone that you could easily see really pop off over the next couple years. So that's why he made my top 10 list as well.
Absolutely. I'd be more shocked if Saint Kid doesn't pop than if he did. You feel me? That's the type of star potential that I see in him. Mm-hmm. Since we already got your 8, would you like to speak about your number 8, or do you just want to keep it moving?
T. Melly was my number 8. He's someone that I really, really enjoy. I did mention it after you had said, but he's just the production that he's done, the way that he works with other artists and stuff like that. His EP was something that I really enjoyed, and went back to a couple different times. And then for him to follow up that project with really good singles, he's someone that undeniably took this pandemic year and did something really positive with it. You know what I mean? In terms
Absolutely.
of like building his name, or his brand, you could even say, and working into what comes next, building up that fan base and building up people wanting to keep an eye on what you've got going next. So that way, when you are dropping stuff like cover art, people are anticipating that. They're excited for it. They're sharing it around. That type of stuff. He's built that type of idea for himself. So T. Melly's a great artist, and someone that I'm excited for his next year as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you have to be.
But
he's gonna have a great next year. This next spot, this artist, it was hard for me to choose whether he was gonna be in my top 10, in my top 5, in my top 3, or honorable mentions. You feel me? But the way I looked at it is I'm measuring the output that you put out, the quality of your work, how nice your music is, in my opinion, relative to the success that it garnered, and how well you're keeping up your image and the impact you have. So this artist, the output was unbelievable. They put out so much music this year, very consistently, so many different flavors, very versatile. The cover arts were all very unique in quality. It made you intrigued to check the song out. I saw him work with a bunch of different artists. The one thing holding it back was probably a little bit more success. He might have been higher on my list if some of the strongs had popped a little bit harder than they did. But the one thing you can't deny is the work ethic, the quality of the work itself. And he's doing things like the cover art to make his whole
his cover art is something that I can't. You guys hear me bitch about cover art all the time. I will never bitch about Blaine's cover art ever, because I really appreciate the effort he puts into making his shit look professional. So
he might have the craziest cover art in Upstate.
In terms of consistency and quality, yeah.
Yeah, so Blaine Bent is definitely my number 8. Like I said, it was weird trying to figure out where I was gonna put him. But he had such a dominant year. and I'm hoping that some more people gravitate towards his music if he continues to put out this quality, this quantity, and continues to evolve his sound. I know with his talent and D Brown behind him, he's going to continue to do that with no issue.
Right. So, and Blaine is someone, like I said, I will admit all day long that I've just been sleeping on, because undeniably the talent's there, because the quality of music's always great when I do take the time to check it out, and the amount of music he's put out is unquestionable. So Blaine is someone that I hope I work with more next year in terms of just connecting, knowing when he's got music coming out, helping let people know that it's coming out and stuff like that. Like, let's work together on rollout and stuff like that, because I think it will help. So he's got some dope stuff.
No doubt.
What do you got next, Sheridan?
Next, I have an artist that maybe not everyone is familiar with. I'm switching up the genre a little bit with this. Keegan. I believe he's from the Binghamton or Vestal area. He does kind of like a bubblegum bedroom pop type thing. And he didn't have many misses this year. He had quite a few drops. I'm not sure how many, but a lot of singles. And most all of them did numbers. He's the type of guy that's doing numbers pretty much regardless of what he drops, whether that's through playlists or algorithms or whatever. He's putting them up. He's got a lot of monthly listeners, and I'm one of them. I go back to a lot of his songs. Actually, one of the Upstate artists that I go back to listen to the most. In terms of singles, it's hard for me to go back to singles because I usually want to listen to like an album or like a body of work. But he just had some that really hit. He had one with I can't remember what the girl's name was, but he had this one song with a female artist, similar genre, that I thought was absolutely amazing. I think we might have even played it on the podcast weeks ago. But in terms of working, keeping his social media on lock and tapping into his niche, there weren't a lot of artists that were on his level, and he's somebody that I think we're gonna see in a couple of years doing millions of streams.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me based on the trajectory he's on right now.
Absolutely. Keegan is a phenomenal artist, someone I have a little bit more to talk about later when we get to that portion of my list, but I can't really deny anything Sheridan just said, that's for sure. Next up on my list is someone that Sheridan already mentioned a little earlier, Corey Alexander. Corey will probably be someone that will hold a special place in my musical heart for Upstate, just because, like Sheridan mentioned, he's the first artist that I brought on the Cypher and was like, I've never heard this guy, you guys have never heard this guy, what do you think? And it turned into a friendship where we will probably have Corey on the Cypher in the next couple weeks because he's got a project coming out. Sheridan met up with him in LA to make music, which is insane in and of itself, that a podcast we did about upstate New York music allowed two upstate New York artists to get together and create in LA. So just that in and of itself is crazy. Corey's music has been really, really great. Everything I've heard, I've liked. There has been no misses for me in terms of what he's dropped. I'm super excited for his album, and he's just a really dope artist. So someone that I'm going to continue to support as long as he's creating and dropping music, because it's to me all great. There are no misses for me. So if he had dropped a full-length body of work, he would probably be top 3 easily for me.
Easily top 3.
If he dropped a full length body of work, he would have cracked my top 5 without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Corey Alexander is somebody that he dropped nothing but quality work this year, and I think he even dropped a small EP earlier this year. And he was somebody I had in my top 10 initially. I think I had him at 6, if I'm being honest. But when I went back and looked at some of the names that I had on my list and measured exactly how much they put out based compared to how many streams and views they got compared to blog articles and shit. We all have, I think my list is a little bit different than both of your guys'.
And I think we all had different criteria and things that we weighed heavier.
Exactly. So Corey is somebody I could not be, he had an amazing year. Could not be mad at that pick at all.
No doubt. And I
the last drop he had was crazy.
I actually fucked up. We're supposed to be on number 7, and I gave my number 6 because I gave my number 7 a minute ago. But we're all right. We'll keep it rolling. We're good. But yeah, Corey is undeniably talented, so I couldn't wait to talk about him. What you got next, Ant?
My number 7 goes to somebody that I just met recently, due to T Melly, actually. His name is Nazi. He's from Utica, New York, and I think he's a phenomenal artist that had a great year. He dropped 2 different projects with a heap of singles, had an industry feature, had some very creative music videos, did some live performances, some remixes. I think his work ethic this year was really undeniable, and I'm glad that I found out about him. I think the amount of work that he put out, combined with how much love how much love I'm seeing him get, the streams that it's getting, the the skinny from the nine track that he has. You feel me? I don't know. The whole image combined with the output and the success is matching each other. You feel me? So I'm very thankful for Nazi, and I'm expecting big things from him next year.
Word. I think that Nazi had a solid year. He's someone that is definitely within my honorable mentions, and that's, again, just a situation of me not taking the time to really go sit down and listen to his entire project from front to back. He's dropped a lot of stuff that has really impressed me, especially early on. The first thing I saw from him was like a cover, and I usually don't even rock with covers, let alone a hip-hop cover, and he just did it so well that it made me a fan of what he's got going on, and I think Nazi's a great artist, and he's incredible. So I'm not surprised to see him on your list at all, and I imagine next year will be even better for him as things start to clear up. So
him and T Melly are gonna be on a fucking tear next year.
Yeah, Nazi went crazy this year for sure.
Process said the feds is there. Nah, Sheridan took care of it. The feds is gone.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck happened.
Sheridan was yelling at the police. It's okay. What do we got next, Sheridan?
Literally, I was yelling at the cops. Who I got next? Oh, Cortland Native. Cortland Native, my boy. I've been growing up with Don Pablo for a long time. He was good friends with one of my best friends' little brother. So I've known him since I was probably in like 7th grade. Is when I first started being around Don. I always knew him as DJ, and now it's kind of like become regular for me to call him Don Pablo because as an artist, this year he's been prolific. He dropped, I think, one of the best projects of the year in terms of a local artist. I think he's the second youngest artist on this list at just 18, I believe. And that just goes to show like how far he can end up going. He has a voice that is just like made to be in the industry. And all I'm really looking for him at this point is for him to up the lyricism just a little bit. But I think for a lot of the music that he's making right now, he doesn't even need to. He's going crazy. This is not only one of my favorite artists, but one of my friends and somebody that I believe can go really far in this industry. So this was an undeniable pick for me. I think he's just gone crazy all year in terms of both. He's got visuals too. I didn't even say that. He's got mad visuals, and he's got more visuals than me.
He's working.
He's got more visuals than most artists out here. He's working and making sure that he doesn't take time off. And for somebody at his age, that's impressive.
Oh nah, Don Pablo had an insane year. And I would kind of consider this his freshman / like rookie year. You feel me? He might have been making and releasing music last year, but this is the year where he started to get some notoriety in the local scene. And he's dropped banger after banger. He can rap very well. He's got a solid team behind him. So I'm expecting pretty big things from homie next year because he built a lot of foundation this year.
A ton of foundation. He's someone that I really, really enjoyed. He was on my list and is within my honorable mentions at this point because his quality of music was super enjoyable. I really loved it when I heard it. It's just a matter of, like, I honestly, it's probably me as a fan just wanting more from Don Pablo, to be honest, because we just got that one release of the project, and he has dropped videos and stuff. I'm just not a video guy. I'm more of a guy who, if it's on Spotify, easy for me to just throw on, and I'm bumping it all the time. So in terms of that, it was almost like a short-lived span for me bumping Don Pablo this year. But his music was great, what I did listen to, and he's going to continue to get better every year. So He like Sheridan said, he's so young that for him to even be up there within the top 10 is crazy, because he's going to get better at what he does, and it's just going to get more interesting. So I hope he can just stay the right path and get with the right people to keep creating music that's good, and it'll be incredible. I would love to see him start really networking with some of the other artists on these lists, on the top 10 list, because a lot of these other guys work together that are on these lists. One or two of them at least work with each other, and it helps each other, build up. So if he can get in with one of these other producers or something and just really get into work and focus on work, it could be dangerous, like real crazy.
No fucking doubt. Don Pablo was on my list, but like Andrew, he was an honorable mention, and for the same exact reason. It's only because he dropped one project this year, and he dropped a couple singles and a couple videos, but the couple singles and the videos were on the project. They were like leading up and for promo to carry on the project. So if he would have had a little bit more output in the beginning of the year and the end of the year, I would have had him on my list, no doubt. I think that he has a strong case for freshman of the year. People like him. Dude, he has a strong case for freshman of the year. So it was somebody he was actually maybe the only person that it actually felt weird to leave out. Like, I should have him on this list. But there was a couple more people that were just slightly more consistent throughout the whole year. And so when I factor in that as opposed to what I prefer to listen to, then he made the honorable mention list. I was on the project. You feel me? I was honored. It was a great album, and I can't wait for the next installment, because I know the next one's going to be bigger and better than this one.
Right, and that, well, he just said Don Pablo and T Melly working together.
That'll be too crazy.
That's genuinely got me hyped, like excited for these two to work together, and that's what shows like this episode and next week's episode with the competition are kind of all about. Like, who really gives a fuck about the top 10 list? The fact that we see other artists working together, and hopefully this can inspire other artists to work together as well, is really dope. So I'm really genuinely looking forward to that between those two. And Don, he's so crazy. Dope. So, yeah.
And for them, I ain't even gonna say it yet.
Facts. I already dropped my number 6, so we'll go ahead and see who Ant's got at number 6.
At number 6 is somebody that I think dropped one of the best albums locally this year. No doubt. I thought every track front to back was great. I think it solidified him a little bit more in the local scene amongst his peers, showed people what he can truly do, and I'm glad that he kind of got some roses from this. You feel me? People started paying attention, like, oh, wow, that nigga is nothing to fucking play with. And that is my man Process. Shout out Candids. And not only did he drop Candids, he also dropped a throwaway project that he made in, I think, 2017, maybe 2018, which was also quality. He dropped a lot of music this year. The Candids was what I think was the best of it. He had a lot of, I don't know if there's parody, satire tracks earlier in the year. Some little freestyle joints where he was experimenting with different sounds. I easily could have had Process earlier. But I gave the nod to a couple people. I put some different folks in this top 5 that I just had gotten privy to in the past couple months that have truly made some insane moves. So shout out to Process. Candids was an unbelievable project, and it's dope to see 2 members of DIM 136 in the top 10 already. That shit is crazy, and it's just a testament to how strong their squad is.
Absolutely. They're always working. I'm going to have more to say about Process in a little bit, as I'm sure Sheridan will, but it's undeniable. He's had a great year, a crazy year, so no questions on that one. And who you got, or Sheridan, who you got next?
So we're talking about these 2 collaborators, how we're excited about them getting together to make this song. And I got T Melly up next. This is a guy that I wasn't really too familiar with before this year. I was lucky enough to get to go out to his studio with Anthony a couple months ago and record some really great songs. And I'm just excited to continue to work with him because he's so talented. He kind of can do it all. He's a producer. He can mix. He can sing, he can rap, and that's what I like. That's my favorite thing is when people are versatile. That's something I really hold high, and that's why he made my top five is the fact that he can do it all. Um, he had a hit with Nazi. He just dropped a hit recently called November. He dropped a great project earlier this year. And in general, he's the sky's the limit for him. He can really do it all. So I'm just waiting to see where he continues to go. Because it's inspiring to see guys like him be able to really do that many different things and do them all well.
That's a fact. That's a fact, and that's why there's probably quite a few artists who will end up on all three of our lists. But T. Melly is one that easily landed on all three of these lists because he's super talented. Jake Daniels in the comments said T. Melly deserves top three easy in his opinion, and honestly, I wouldn't have argued with someone throwing him up there either. The year he's had and the build he's had has been great. So I'm excited to see.
Especially if he had dropped a full length, he probably would have been in my top three. Dying to Live.
If this
it was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say if this list was who do I listen most out of this area, or who do I like their style most in terms of songs, T Melly definitely would have been higher up. But a couple of the folks that I named had some pretty insane accolades tied to them this year, and I think that they broke the boundary a little bit more. I said, I think next year T Melly is really gonna crack and break the doors.
He set the foundation this year. He set the foundation this year.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
And like Jake said, if he was top three, it would have been well deserving, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In terms of who I have at number 5, I got Corey's back to back. That's funny because we seem to talk about these two Corey's back to back all the time. But Corey Loveless. He had a great year, a phenomenal year in terms of, and he like T Melly is someone we got to watch and experience the build through the Cypher really because he was keeping up with us all the time, letting us preview stuff, letting us give our opinion on stuff. We let him know when we didn't necessarily love stuff, but we always saw growth in everything he sent to us. And then he closed it out with a phenomenal project. A week or two ago that it's just hard to deny the year that Corey has had and done for himself in terms of just putting together quality work, showcasing a legitimate growth from an artist every release, and then topping it off with a great album and a great visual. It's like I'm not really sure how Corey Loveless has a better year than that.
Oh, well, you better start picturing ways of that to happen because I'm sure it's going to be next year.
Exactly. Well, it's like just the amount of success, I guess I'm saying, in terms of how he built it up and set himself up for next year is incredible. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Corey is somebody that I had to have on my list. There's no doubt about it. For anyone is phenomenal. I think front to back, the type of stories he was able to articulate really, really, really resonated with me. And not only a lyrical and pure hip-hop type of way that I love because I'm a connoisseur, but in an emotional way. You feel me? He gave me insight on a unique perspective that not many people are able to provide. You're only a product of your environment, and Corey brought you to his environment to let you see exactly what made him who he was. So shout out to him. Top 5, very well deserved.
No doubt, no doubt. Who you got at number 5, Ant?
Who do I have at number 5? I have an artist named Deuce Ellis, which I don't think many people are going to be familiar with. So I'll tag him. But he dropped a project earlier this year that was really fucking crazy. It was getting blog placements fucking everywhere. People were picking up on him. I saw it get shouted out by some people that are my favorite rappers. He's been co-signed by greats. The rollout was really fucking creative. He put together a comic book and distributed a fucking comic book with his album. He designed sneakers. He has his own brand of like luxury Deuce Ellis sneakers to go along with the project as well. So this is somebody that I don't expect you guys to necessarily have on your list, but I had to give him the nod because
listen
the
to
type
him
of
flex like my list is the best because you guys aren't
no,
paying attention to do sellers.
nah, because you talk about all the time how you're not always listening to lyrical rap, and I know this dude is the furthest thing from Taylor Swift, so I know he's not gonna pop up in Sheridan's top 5. There's no chance. So do sellers.
He's too on for me. He's too on for me.
Nah,
He's too on.
How is he too on? He has 10,000 monthly listeners. Like do sellers is a.
I'm jealous. That's more than me, so I can't put him on there.
You had 15K last month, you hoe. So do sellers, phenomenal artist. He's from Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. He had industry features as well as local features on his project. He had a consistent year. The rollout was phenomenal and almost pioneering for a local artist such as us. If you haven't or you're not privy to him, you should. And I had to give a nod to somebody that's crazy fucking lyrical. That's real. That real hip hop shit is something that you know I live for. So shout out Deuce.
Yo, Anthony Bryan says that he feels like we're not giving Don Pablo the credit he deserves, and I'm not even gonna argue. I'm not even gonna argue with that opinion because you could be right, but we fuck with Don heavy, so I definitely understand. But
I said this from the jump. There's gonna be a lot of niggas that feel some type of way about this, but do I give a fuck? No, because if you know me, you know exactly how I feel about you. I don't cap. I'm not gonna sit here and tell niggas something that they want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what I feel.
But at the same time,
Don is 18 years old. Most of these kids most of the people on this list are. Some people have a decade on him, bro.
Right.
I think
you gotta think about that.
Right.
Deuce is 30. You feel me? And it's not about who's nicer. It's not about who dropped a song that I like more. It's about who had the most impactful, successful year to go on top of quantity. We already talked about Don Pablo. We shouldn't even have gave that any light.
Nah, I have to, bro, because I appreciate him doing that to an extent because not everyone has friends or fans or anything that are gonna come out and be like, yo, why aren't you showing more love to my guy? So I mean, I'm not saying that he's right and we're wrong. I'm just saying like, hey, I appreciate it, man. Show out for your guy. Let him know that you think your guy is number one in the area, and fuck it. That's what you should do. Like that's your homie. So that's what it should be. I appreciate that, honestly. What you got, Sheridan, at number 4?
Number 4. Oh, we got our boy Corey Loveless
back again.
He went crazy this year. I mean, he waited till the end of the year to drop one of the best projects that came out.
His best project, he would say. So
his best project, probably a top 3 local release, in my opinion. And just a heartfelt project that honestly, there were songs that really genuinely brought tears to my eyes. And there were songs that I related to the core, every word. He showcased his rapping ability. He improved his flow. He did it all. He really did it all. And for him to be able to drop a project like that in a year where he wasn't even really planning to drop anything, and he did a project that he wanted to do from the soul, that's amazing to me. This is a guy I've been watching grow since well before I was trying to make music, and it's quite inspiring to see where he started and where he is now, and the fact that I know that he's just getting better all the time. And we talk about it every single time we talk about Corey, is that he continues to get better all the time.
Yeah, I agree, and it's something that like he's just super talented. We've seen the growth, and he's made sure we've seen the growth. You know what I mean? For other artists, if you're feeling slighted, like maybe we didn't put you on our list or you didn't get mentioned for even the honorable mentions, like that you can change that very easily by just sending us every track you release. We will totally play it, we will review it, and we will be paying attention to everything you do. It's a simple way to do it. Corey essentially did that, made sure we were paying attention, and because it was good, we can't deny it. You know what I mean? Like, we unquestionably heard probably everything Corey dropped this year because he made sure of it. He was like, yo, check this out, play it on the show, give me your thoughts, and we liked it. So if you're listening and you do feel slighted when we're done giving our whole list and everything, consistently send us what you got, you know what I mean? And we'll be listening. It's just not going to guarantee you a top 10 shot. If it sucks, then every week we'll be talking about your bad music. But if it's great, we'll talk about how you're growing. So utilize this platform, you know what I mean? It's difficult for us to go out and find every single artist. Ant, speaking on Deuce Ellis, he's someone that I just recently heard of thanks to 607 Sound, but without that, I wouldn't have known about him. And he's got really dope merch rollout and stuff. Like, him being on Ant's list makes so much sense, but because we might not follow everything, he might not have made the list if we didn't get that from 607 Sound. So send your songs out. Send them out to all the different publications. I hope to see more Corey Loveless in other places next year. Not to us. Take what he's built this year with us and now go utilize it with different platforms and every other platform in the area, because there are more of them. And I will send you guys a list if you want them that are doing sort of the same thing I'm doing in different parts of upstate New York. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I do got to shout out 607 Sound, because that is exactly how I found out about Deuce Ellis. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear about him before, and it was a couple months ago leading up to the project that he dropped. And I ironically I had him added on Facebook, but the way algorithms work, you feel me? I didn't know or interact with that nigga, so I saw none of his posts. I started trying to pay attention to him a little bit more, grew a deep found respect for everything that he was able to accomplish this year. So shout out, homie, even though I don't actually know who he is.
Right, and shout out to Josh for doing such a good job with 607 Sound, because he has put me on to like a lot of different artists sort of that similar sound that I'm not super in tune to, and helped me at least know who to keep an eye on next year. I have a whole spreadsheet and probably 5 to 10 at least artists on that spreadsheet I wouldn't even know of without Josh. So shout out to what he does for 607 Sound. It's not just Upstate Aesthetic showing out for you guys, so keep that in mind. They do a great job over there.
607 Sound. 607 Sound gives me my weekly song for the podcast. I'm always going on there. And
you fucking cheater.
I'll be scrambling.
Yeah,
who's a cheater?
You, bro, you be cheating, utilizing that. Nah, but I utilize their list as a rundown of what dropped every week, because they do such a good job with it, and it's something I really appreciate that Josh does. So I love to see it every week, and I'm glad that he's kept up on it for so long, because that's not, it might seem easy, but every week taking the time out on Friday to get down and compile all the lists of tracks that have come out and let everybody know, and then have people be like, you forgot my track, instead of just DMing him and letting him know. It's like, shit like that ain't easy, so shout out to Josh for continuing that with 607 Sound.
You're absolutely right. It is harder than people give you credit for.
I want to point out something Bartholomew said. I've never seen someone have as many girlfriends simultaneously as Sheridan. I just want to make sure that everyone caught that one. I agree. This man is out of control.
All that means is don't pass your blunt to Sheridan, because that nigga's definitely burning. Yo,
Let's get to my number 4 artist.
I'm being attacked.
You did it to yourself. Blame Bartholomew.
Y'all are just jealous. Y'all are just jealous because I got all the biddies.
I
had all the biddies.
I could never be jealous of herpes, my nigga.
Oh, shit.
I could never be jealous.
Sheridan was not laughing after that comment.
I couldn't see his face.
I ain't never had no STD. Let's just say that.
Fucking A. Let's keep it pushing. My next artist, the next one on my top 10 is someone that's been mentioned earlier by Sheridan, Keegan. He's someone that a lot of you probably haven't been in tune with, because he doesn't make typical hip-hop. But if I was you guys, I would try to find a way to incorporate him into my sound before he blows up, and try to ask him for a feature at least. I don't know if he's given them, but he's got a lot of people checking out his music and shit, so.
Yo, This nigga said Sheridan got the media.
But Keegan, if you take a look on streaming services, has a ton of monthly listeners, and every track he seems to drop does really, really well. In terms of stuff that I like, it fits right into some stuff that I want to hear, but don't necessarily or didn't necessarily know where to find it. Now, if I want to hear it, I just go to Keegan. So he had a solid year.
I didn't even see. I don't think that I saw Drew's list at this point. When I had came up with this conclusion right here, my number 4 is also Keegan, and this should show to everybody watching that it's not about who the fuck I listen to or whose music I like better or whatever my preference is. Keegan has 160,000 monthly listeners right now, and despite what anybody could have to say about that. Along with that, he has dropped 20 to 30 songs this year with a project. You feel me? The output combined with the success, combined to the branding that he's put out with his music. I don't even check out every release. I've heard some very great songs by him, and I've heard some songs that aren't my cup of tea. But the amount of success that he had is with the output, it was almost a no-brainer. It was really just where am I going to fit him on this list. He ended up making the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, and
I can't believe he was the lowest on my list. That's crazy to me. I listen to him so much too.
Yep. I don't know. He's probably gonna find you after this and fuck you up.
And it's a testament just to his performance, honestly, this year in terms of.
Yo, what Jake just say?
How's his follower ratio? Just curious on Spotify, not Instagram. I don't know exactly how many followers he has, to be honest.
No, I don't
I'll
either.
have to check right now.
I was gonna say,
Jake's trying to call him out.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Here's my thing.
We talked about this earlier.
Here's my thing though. It doesn't. It's not just necessarily for me about the monthly listeners for Keegan. I genuinely fuck with Keegan's music. The monthly listeners obviously attribute to that the success he has gotten, and I see it and I understand what Jake is saying as well, but I've also seen success in him working with other artists that have a following that has probably helped him as well. So I'm sure there's a little bit around surrounding that as well, but I fuck with Keegan, so that's why he made the top.
Yeah, I just genuinely like his music.
I think I genuinely like his music too. It's just not the type of shit I listen to when I'm by myself, and I'm not the targeted demographic. I think he has very high quality sounding stuff. I think he does the sad boy shit very well, but he's also a very versatile artist. He's somebody I hope to work with in the future. And his song, despite the 160,000 followers, we had our own questions and conversations about that in the group chat. But however, you can't fake all the success. You feel me? When you go cross-platform, some of it checks out. So shout out to Keegan for a successful year and keep grinding. Because if you could build on what you did this year, then 2021 is looking very fruitful.
Facts. It's been a solid year for Keegan. So a solid point from Jake, but nonetheless, good year. Who you got at number 3?
Jake's not trying to check anybody. He
yes,
just
he was. Yes, he was. It's too late.
Yeah, okay, Jake. You're not slick.
You can't be nice boy Jake Daniels again right now. You already went to the dark side.
Oh wait. Is it
I was
my
going to say, who's nice boy Jake Daniels? Jake said he's coming for the Smoke This Competition episode. Which, by the way, now that we're cracking into this top 3, we got 20 people listening right now. If we got any artists in the chat, you better have already submitted a song into next week's competition episode because Jake said he's washing everybody.
Yeah, MBK Richie, where's your track at? It ain't in the email yet.
Come on. I'm trying to see somebody wash Jake. He was talking hot shit.
Yeah, he's talking crazy. I wish I could.
You wish you could submit. Aren't you guys going versus next year? Y'all doing the versus next year?
We ain't talking about that. That's not happening according to the public.
We always you and Jake spoiling shit.
American Dragon, Jake Latin.
Yeah, just because I used to spoil shit doesn't mean you can start spoiling shit. This is crazy.
I want to see Sheridan versus Ryan Bronson in a 20 song for 20 song versus.
Me too. I second that, and we will put it together.
Bro,
Upstate Aesthetic and the
don't
Cypher will. I'll
please.
promote it. I will put it on. I could do all the streaming for it. It'll be great, bro. We'll get it lined up. Who you got at number 3, Sheridan? A moment of silence.
I just don't want to talk shit. So
Jacuz?
I'm just gonna.
Who you got?
Jacuz. I think it's Jacuz.
Process at number 3. We got Process on number 3.
Candace, boy, let's get
Process. Candace went crazy. That's really like he Process went from somebody that most people I think knew as a producer and a member of Dim 136 to his own artist. He showed people what he could truly do. He self-produced his own album. He mixed his own album. He mastered his own album. He wrote his own album. He performed his own album. He does it all. He's helped me work with a lot of my music, but that's not even what it's about. It's the fact that he put out, I think, another top 3 release of the year in terms of a full-length project. He showed his versatility in many different ways. He can sing. He can rap. He can sound like motherfucking Young Thug if he wants to. He can sound like anybody. As Anthony says, he's a chameleon. And the next step for him, and I've talked to him about this, is to really show how original he can be. Because I think he has a really unique image that will work in his favor. And for him to build on that within his music, I think will take him to another level. I as much as I loved Candids, I didn't imagine that it would do the numbers that it did, and it did crazy numbers. My song with him, Human, was getting played on the radio. My aunt texted me about it getting played on WICB.
Wow, so it's biased. You're only putting him in your top 3 because of that. That's fucked up.
Nah, it's on the radio whether I'm on it or not. If it wasn't that song, it would have been another song, and there are other songs getting spun on other radios. It just depended on what they picked. Process went crazy, period. I think, in my opinion, he was a shoe-in top 3 pick.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'll have a little bit more to say about Process in a minute, but you got anything to say? And well, you already talked about Process a little bit, but
yes, sir. I can add on whenever.
Facts. I mean, that's the thing about this show, honestly, is we've talked about Process so much on the show that we could probably add on to how good Process is very simply. We could do a whole episode about Process. He's the fucking intro to the Cypher. So shout out to Process. We'll talk more about him in a minute.
Process know what it is, bro. Amazing year, dog. Who's your number 3, Ann?
My number 3 comes in at number 3 simply because he didn't produce, mix, master, and do everything on his own project. But he fucking had a great 2 EPs this year. MBK Richie is a great artist. Easily top 3, easily top 2, but he's my number 3 for me. I fuck with Richie a lot. His EPs were great. I was glad to be a part of helping promote them. Have him on the show multiple times, interviewed him off of the show on a different show. I have a great relationship with Richie, and his EPs were great. I'm absolutely looking forward to what he has coming next year. He's undeniably a great artist. It's just a matter of the other 2 above him did everything for their music, and so I graded that a little bit more. But yeah, it was an incredible year for Richie, and very easy for me to slot him in my top 10. Even my top 5, my top 3, really. So.
Yeah, exactly. I would have to agree with you on that. Richie had a phenomenal year. The 2 EPs that he had were very good. Throwaways and Throwaways 1.5.
Which were absolutely not throwaways, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not throwaways. Most artists could have dropped those as a full promoted project, and been fine. This is this man's throwaways. But we already talked about them. We had him on the show. Not technically throwaways, just shit that wouldn't have made a specific album. You feel me? My man is a phenomenal lyricist, one of the best storytellers that we have in this area. When we come to just pure rap versatility, because we talk about somebody like Process's general versatility. When it comes to versatility in rap, in terms of you can battle rap, you can punchline, You could tell stories. You can get deep. You could do a party track. You feel me? Like Richie is seasoned, dog, and I think all around he's just absolutely amazing. I'll be talking about him a little bit more in a little bit, but consensus top 3 at least in my opinion.
And
no
it's
doubt.
like that in every competition episode that he submits for. He's a quality artist that just he's been it's been awesome to be along with his ride. I remember when I first started Upstate Aesthetic, I think is when he was releasing Richie season 2, and I got that early, and it's just been dope to be a part of hearing Richie's music early and then it coming out. I'm excited for him to drop his collab project with MBK Dot, and they he's helped put me onto Dot, who also is someone who easily is an honorable mention, worth mentioning for the fact I'm excited to see what he does next year, because Richie's really sparked a lot out of him this year. So those two together, the other artists he works with, OTM, like there's a lot of quality artists that are quality because they work with Richie, or maybe not because they work with Richie, but Richie helps accentuate some of the great qualities with them, and that's something that's worth talking about as well beyond his music.
Yeah.
Facts.
I think it would be impossible not to get better working next to a guy like Richie.
Well,
just his energy.
Not impossible. Fuck no, not impossible, bro. If you one of those people that don't rise to the occasion, Richie could be one of those people that intimidates you on a track because of how skilled he is, and he's gonna bring it. You feel me? Not everybody is gonna rise to the occasion.
I meant like working with him in terms of like being someone like Dot who gets in the studio with him and they can give each other advice and they can say, hey, this works, this doesn't. I don't even mean working on a track. I just mean if you're his boy and you get to be around him all the time, I can tell from his energy and work ethic that he's somebody that elevates you.
I misconstrued what you said initially. I don't disagree with that one bit.
Facts. Who you got at number 3, Ant?
Who do I have at number 3? At number 3, I have an artist that a lot of people are also going to be unfamiliar with, I'm assuming. And the reason why I have him at number 3 is because the past couple months specifically, he went the fuck up. His name is Jay Skis. He dropped his own solo project this year. He's dropped a couple singles. He's had his merch game on lock, and he was just featured on Conway's From King to a God deluxe album. He had twice, actually. He had 2 different verses on it. He just had an exclusive performance through Tidal for a Tidal event. He had an amazing end of the year and a whole 2020, if I'm being honest. It just picked up steam towards the end. And I can even throw in 7th Ave, the Genius, if I want to. She was also a Buffalo artist, just like Jay Skis, who got thrown on this Conway project. I'm glad that people know Skis. Process just said we know Skis. He only has 270 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Wow.
Same with us. Exactly. Same with 7th Ave, the Genius. Like, they only have...
That shit's about to change quick, though. You know what I mean? Like,
no doubt, they've been getting shouted out by legends over the past couple months. So I'm surprised it hasn't already changed. But they're no doubt very consistent. They have introspective lyrics. They rely on lyricism, but they can also provide that kind of teaching that some OGs can give on a track. The merch game is on lock. I believe that he customizes denim jackets. I almost purchased one from him, if I'm not mistaken. And I just expect him to have a breakout 2021 because I'm truly excited that I was able to become a fan of him before he truly blows up.
He's been doing a lot of work with like the Griselda guys and stuff like that. It's a testament to what Griselda has really done for at least the Buffalo area of Upstate in terms of working with artists who come from where they come from and really trying to help put on for the scene and do something with the artists that are talented, like Jay Skis, who has had a good amount of build for him, hype for him over the last couple of weeks since that performance with Tidal. Got mentioned on the Joe Budden podcast, got mentioned on a couple of other different places within media, and that type of shit is the big shit. You know what I mean? That's the stuff that people hear people talking about you on a platform like that, and they're like, all right, we got to check this out, we got to figure it out. If people just hear that you did something, a performance on Tidal, they're immediately checking it out. Everyone in the chat who hasn't heard of Jay Skis, because there are some who haven't, are asking who it is. So he's had a dope year. He's not someone I'm super familiar with, haven't gotten to check out a whole lot of his music, so that's why he didn't make my list. Same with Deuce. Two great, super talented. I've heard about them, heard they've had great years, but I'm not tuned in, so I couldn't throw them above anyone that I am familiar with, but I have to respect what they've done, especially Jay Skis, 7th Ave, The Genius. Like, they've done great, and shout out to Griselda for giving that hand, you know what I mean? Like, it's not every group that is going to do that in terms of helping out the area, and people might feel slighted, I guess, because it's not exactly coming to them, and they're from Upstate, but you can't deny what they're doing for Upstate and Buffalo in general, so shout out to them for that.
What rapper is taking an artist with less than 1,000 monthly listeners and throwing them on 2 songs on their most acclaimed album? I don't know a single artist in the game that is really gonna do that. Truly gave shine like that.
That's why I didn't know. That's why I didn't know that he had only like 200 something monthly listeners. Part of me was like, when you put him on your list, I'm like, oh, he did all this stuff. That's a little too on for me, for my list. I can't put somebody on that much. But it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing with Andrew. Is like they weren't guys that I went and checked out immediately, because I kind of assumed that they were already on, and I've been paying attention to some of the other Upstate guys, and I feel like hearing this about Deuce Ellis and hearing all this about Jay Skis, I might have made a mistake, but I'm still rocking with my list.
Of course. I mean, you guys have great lists. I already know I have a great list. You feel me? I don't think anybody particularly got slighted. I just think that between the years that they had, I would have felt criminal to leave them out. And Jay Skis specifically, I'm so excited that we're able to give props and on a platform for an artist like this who has done so many great things but still hasn't got the flowers that they deserve. I think the last of his worries are the 200 monthly listeners, especially when you're getting there's memes being made about him on Twitter right now. You feel me? Like,
well, and that, and like the cool thing beyond that too is he came back and did all this cool shit, and then did like a toy drive for kids. So like he's not just doing cool hip hop shit. Like, he's doing cool shit in general. That I probably would agree with you. He probably don't really care so much about where those monthly viewers or listeners are at, because that's gonna go up, especially now that the hype has been building. So, who you got at number 2, Sheridan?
My number 2 is my boy MBK Richie. I'll say just right off the bat, in terms of all the local artists, he was who I listened to most this year. Throwaways was dope, but Throwaways 1.5 hit for me like crazy. There was a solid 2 months where it was in pretty steady rotation for me, and I still go back to it at times. It was something that my friends who I knew loved lyrical rap, I linked it to them. If I was with them, I forced them to listen to it, and it turned into not having to force them because they loved it. There was nobody I showed him to, and they're like, this is whatever. They were all like, wow, dude, like, give me this guy's Apple Music, give me this guy's Spotify. I think his flow is infectious. Like Anthony said, he's very versatile within his style of rap. He can come with the punchlines. He can come with the bars. He can come with the stories. He can be really heartfelt. I think his production choices are out of this world. If he had dropped a full length this year, maybe he could have had that number 1 spot. Because he's somebody that I think I'm going to be listening to as long as he's dropping music. He goes crazy. I feel like his music is self-explanatory. You go listen to it and you know, this guy's a top 3 lock no matter what. And he's just going to keep it pushing. And I know he's got the plans to make next year even crazier. So I'm just excited to be able to hear that, and as a fan, it's something that we don't get. I don't get a lot to be as close with somebody that I'm actually just a genuine fan of their music,
Right.
and I'm lucky enough to be able to work with him.
That's a fact. Richie's literally like the bro, man. So to be able to be a part of his music release and stuff is super dope. Like I really think that he's got great music stuff that I love going back to listen to. As a fan, I selfishly wish he dropped his project. As for him though, I totally understand doing what he did, and it probably will work out so much better for him in going about it this way. It's almost something I've wanted people to do, and I'm really glad that Richie was the one to try it in terms of like releasing EPs every couple months and giving people just a little bit at a time. I think it's a solid style there for Richie. So he's had a great year.
So. Richie has had a phenomenal year, and it does not surprise me to see him on top threes. You feel me? Consensus. And the crazy part is, if he would have dropped Divine around the time where it was slated, then I can only imagine. Like this is just with 2 throwaway EPs, couple features and shit. You feel me?
Right. Yeah. It's been a great year for Richie. So undeniable. For my second on my list is Process. He's someone you both have talked about already. We talk about him on the show all the time. His project is the one that I continue to go back to. There's a couple tracks that I really, really like off of it that I'm listening to almost every day. But it's a project that I really like to go back and consume from start to finish. It's one that I will continue to do that going into the next year. And when I'm just feeling like listening to something that I really like, I'm gonna go back to that project. So it was hard for me not to put Process in my top 2 because he's just dope. So I fuck with it.
Shit, bro, I could have guessed that you were going to do this, and I can't be mad at that at all. You feel me? Process might have dropped debatably. You feel me? It's definitely debatable that he dropped the best project in Upstate this year. So I can't be mad at that at all. And just like I brought up when I had Process number 6, it's not the only project he dropped this year. He didn't promote the other one the same way he did, but he still dropped a whole another 10 plus songs that were all quality. So he had a decent amount of output this year, and the quality was phenomenal. Definitely put him in a different type of echelon compared to his peers. They start speaking about him in a different light now.
Facts. That's a fact, 100%. And that's been my biggest takeaway from Process's release this year was just his, like the fact that we were able to see more people take it and appreciate it. You know what I mean? Because his releases last year were great too, but this one we saw the step up in quality because we got to hear it beforehand, and then we were very excited to see the response he had achieved afterwards in streams and whatnot. So it was a great year for Process. Like Corey said, Big Dim 136, they had a great year between those two and the rest of the group in general as well. So shout out to them.
Between Corey and Brian's projects, which were both some of the best Upstate had to offer this year, and then you get JJ Wolf with Southside Steffer and King with Lane. It's really just it's unbelievable. Their crew is really doing the right things and putting the bricks down to make some serious strides in 2021.
Yeah, so Processes next year is going to be great, and the more he continues to work with other artists, it's going to be impressive. So who you got at number 2, Ant? Yours is the same as Sheridan's, is it not?
It actually is the same as Sheridan's. My number 2 is MBK Richie for a similar reason as Sheridan. Throwaways 1 was my favorite out of the projects that he dropped this year. I was also featured on it, but there's no bias. Throwaways 1.5 was also amazing. I don't think he had a single miss on either project. I think one thing that you can guarantee with Richie is that the lyrical content and the flow, the delivery are going to be solid on just about every track. And I'm looking forward to what he has in the future. I was looking forward to the project he was going to drop later in the year, the collab album with Dot and the solo that he was working on. But I know whenever they do drop, it'll be heat. Richie know what it is. We got some songs in the vault, and he's just a rapper that when I listen to, it makes me want to be better as a rapper. You feel me? It's like, oh man, you gotta go harder on your next track. You gotta you got to take niggas' heads off, because if I don't, there's going to be somebody like Richie always trying to take somebody's head off. So
Facts.
props to him, and keep grinding, Brody.
That's an absolute fact. Richie's year is undeniable. That's why he popped up on all of our lists within the top 3. It's been a great year for Richie in terms of quality. The quality of content that he released and the amount of content almost feels like it's just right, because we as fans want a little bit more, so we're not oversaturated. You know what I mean? It's a very fine line to be in between oversaturating fans and having them wanting more. So if they're wanting more, you've made a good decision. So
no doubt.
Corey called us out on it, and it's we
might
as well just let the cat out of the bag. He said, "Is Jake too lit for the list or sweeping the first across the board?" You know, he's sweeping first across the board. I mean, it's undeniable, really, the quality of music, the success of the music, everything. So it's just a situation right there of, you know, what reason did you have, Sheridan, for putting Jake at number 1?
I had a lot of reasons. I mean, just aside from being a fan of his music, aside from me listening to his releases, probably second only to MBK Richie, and that's just out of him not having quite as many releases as MBK Richie, and also discovering his music a little bit later. I just the sheer quality he mixes, like I said about Process, he mixes, masters, writes, produces, does it all. It's that's something that I
and he markets so well is the thing that you can't even.
Yeah, the marketing is just like, that's in and of itself. He's doing millions of streams per song. I think he posted something over 25 million streams across all platforms, and none of them, not that I know, I don't think any of them are fake. He's not that. I know this guy. He's not the type of guy to fake stuff. You look at YouTube, he's on other channels where you can't fake that type of streams. And you look at the comments, he's got fans. You look at his Spotify checks out. You look at his SoundCloud, his SoundCloud checks out. All of it is there. I mean, it's an undeniable pick, like we said. Number 1 across the board, and I'm a fan of his music. I love pop music.
If you disagree, I would really love to hear who your pick is and why. And unless it's like some mainstream signed borderline breakout artist, I would be very confused, because the amount of just the quality of content, the work put into make sure people are listening to what he's got coming out. You know what I mean? Everything he's putting in terms of the work, in terms of the music, producing the music, writing the music. Like, when there's a list that long, you're gonna have to say a lot to be explaining this shit. You know what I mean? To argue against it. So that's why Jake is number 1 across the board. I think it would be difficult to argue against that. You know what I mean? Because of each box that Jake checks in terms of quality of music and everything. I said it 4 different times. Like, it's great. So,
I mean, when we were
I want all the charts, Jake. Send me all the charts.
To me, when we were coming up with these top 10 lists, you feel me? This is something that I try to stay away from. You know, I've dropped 60 fucking collaborations, and I've worked with almost 100 artists in Upstate. So when I gotta come up with a top 10, it's almost impossible to not make somebody feel slighted. But this wasn't a list about who my favorites were, When we started talking about who had the best years, Jake was at the top, but he was the first person I knew. You feel me? I didn't automatically put him there. I had to go do some fucking research. I had to go cross-reference a couple things. But off the top of my head, I was like, Jake is probably first, excluding people like Scory. Like, they're random people that have blown up and you can really measure success.
We should have put Keegan above him because he has more monthly listeners. I think that's what Jake was getting at. I think he was mad we didn't have Keegan listed higher.
I think Jake even outstreamed somebody like Scory, you feel me, who has industry backing to a certain extent now. All independent, which is absolutely phenomenal. You can't say enough about him. He didn't even drop a project this year. So the type of success that he's garnering is just really fucking amazing to see. We hit so many different cities in upstate New York that looking at these top tens is beautiful to me. You feel me? Everybody that got named deserve it. And it's just honestly motivating to see how much talent is up in upstate. If you didn't make the list,
be motivated. I would say, like, honestly, be motivated by that to get to work, because these are quality artists.
If you ain't make the list, put out more music and get better.
That's all I gotta say. Well, and like honestly though, to that, because I don't want to, because I know you're just fucking around. I don't want to leave anybody too slighted.
I'm not fucking around.
Well, all right, fine. Well, there's so many quality artists that if you didn't make the list, it's because there are so many quality artists. I'm gonna ring off a couple of honorable mentions who didn't make it, who I fuck with a lot. But there are so many artists that you're up against. Utilize this as some type of motivation. But artists like Don Pablo, who was listed, King, he wasn't listed, but is a great artist. Someone who dropped just one project this year, would have loved. And a sing that just dropped a song that just dropped recently.
Sean Hughes.
Facts.
Boy.
D Hughes does really great job. Let me see. Go back to my list. JJ Wolf.
Justin Rogers.
He just dropped a project. It's very hard to incorporate someone who just dropped a project, but the amount of music he dropped last year, for him to take the time this year and drop a really great project is worth noting for JJ. JJ's just gonna have a better next year off of what he did this year. Same with King. Those two Dim 136 artists are gonna keep growing. So.
03 Costa,
03 Costa, Shaw Rax
went crazy.
Yo,
Rax went crazy.
Somebody that I originally had on my list, and then I took off when I started thinking about the Deuce Ellis and the Jay Skeezes, you feel me, was Scaffold. I thought Scaffold had an amazing 2020. He dropped 2 different projects with a deluxe, with singles, and was active the whole year. He easily could have made my list. And looking back at my list, I don't know who I would have taken off for him. But I'm a big fan of homie, and I want to give him his roses for what he completed this year. I hope he carries on for next year.
Facts. Justin Rogers says that he can't believe he didn't make the list. He's gonna go cry. He said he's joking around, but for anyone who isn't joking around, feeling like they want to go send some subs, please do. Let everybody know. Let them know where you were watching. Be like, I was watching the Cypher on Upstate Aesthetic. They didn't mention me. Make sure everybody knows where it came from us. But like, we've got a ton of other honorable mentions that I do want to speak on. Who didn't drop a lot of music or any music this year, like Slick Fashions. Ty Vegas dropped one project, but it was early on in the year. Chirp only dropped a couple different songs, but he's another great artist who has done a great job within Upstate. Juan Boulevard. Someone else I really want to shout out in terms of, we've talked about him a little bit recently. We think he's going to have a great year next year, is AOHB. He's a great artist. I really fuck with him. So,
yo, bro, there's so many talented artists out here.
Deshaun, I don't know if I mentioned him yet. Like, there's so many talented artists that to create a top 10 was literally difficult. We had to think about it and put time into it and determine some different factors on what did it. And it's not even to say like, oh, if you had the most streams, you're automatically at the top. Or if you had our favorite music, you're automatically at the top. It's like a combination of everything, and it's all come together. So,
absolutely. So to all the artists in Upstate grinding, whether you made the list or not, just keep pushing. 2021 hopefully will be a little bit less strenuous and stressful than this year has provided. But you guys have still, each and every single one of you, thrived through what might historically be one of the most trying periods in United States and global history. Mm-hmm. You feel me? You guys all thrived. You were efficient. You provided quality work to the world. So when things open up and it's not as depressing stuck in the house, I have full faith that people will do bigger and better. Just make sure to build on the foundation and the base that you created in 2020, because everybody on the list is not going to allow you to sleep. If you sleep, they're going to outwork you and surpass you. There's no question about it.
That's a fact. So it's been a solid year, a really great year for Upstate artists. I think we covered all of the. Well, no, Ant, you had Ivan the Great on your honorable mentions, so I want to talk about him a little bit. Like, there's been so many different artists that it we'll probably forget some of our honorable mentions too.
Yeah.
Like
I did have Ivan the Great on my honorable mentions. That's a Syracuse artist. He just dropped a tape, hosted by Benny the Butcher. He had a feature from Ransom, which might be the most lyrical and consistent artist of 2020. He dropped, I think, 4 projects that all had top-notch lyricism. It was unbelievable. So Ivan the Great is phenomenal. I'm going to tag him real quick just to give him some love. Thank you for reminding me. He's somebody that easily could have been in my top 10, but he hasn't dropped the project on streaming services yet. Look at this. Boom.
The physical though, yeah, that's what's up. That's a real dope thing to see someone do and create, like, kind of just crafting his own lane for that. So that's real dope. Ivan the Great is dope. Like I said, so many dope artists within Upstate. It's been a great time. Y'all have dropped a lot of great music, and it's hard to keep up, honestly, with everything. There's when we really start getting across the board of different artists from Albany and Buffalo and everywhere Upstate. It's a lot for me to keep track of. So if you're not on the list, that it's hard to keep track of everybody too. So
we got Ithaca, we got Cortland, we got Utica, we got Binghamton, Elmira, Big Flats, Albany, Buffalo. Like
we crossed a lot of boards, bro.
Lil Perko was somebody that I had on my list, but I ended up passing on him because he has a couple different videos on YouTube that hit 100K plus, and he's getting shouted out on major blogs. Awful Tune is somebody that we had discussed a little bit, but for reasons aside, and the fact
too
that
popping, bro, too popping,
and yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of artists that we could have given the spots to, but everybody that's on the list truly deserved it. If you stuck in this long, shouts out to you.
Thank you for sticking with us. And there's some artists that we rock with heavy that we haven't mentioned this whole episode. That one of them that I could think of easily is Zoe. He is a great artist. We haven't talked about him at all. Next year's going to be crazy for Zoe. So
yeah, I was gonna say he just didn't have a crazy.
Zoe didn't drop this year.
I know, but
exactly.
he
dropped Break It Down.
I just want to make sure I mention him because
1 or 2 songs.
Because I mentioned Slick, who also hasn't dropped, and there's a couple artists like that just haven't dropped much. So.
And Ty Vegas.
I know
is somebody
coming with the fire.
Damn. Me and Zoe recorded 12 tracks this year, and he has doubled that solo. Ty, I'll say, F off. I mean, I understand why he's saying that, and I don't necessarily disagree. Just as a local artist, I wanted to. There's no chance she was getting in the top 10. I just wanted to shout her out. Ty Vegas.
No, go ahead, Ty Vegas.
I was just going to say Ty Vegas is somebody that easily could have been top 10. I just think he had a lot more output in the beginning of the year and started making moves and recording and figuring shit out.
His project was really good too, so I mean.
I see Ivan just commented in the chat. So shout out
facts out to Ivan.
For tuning in, Brody.
Appreciate you turning in.
Yeah, easily dropped a great project this year.
We joked around a little bit about Justin Rogers, but I do want to shout him out too. We haven't heard a ton from him. We kind of just got put on to him, at least me personally, by Jake within the last couple weeks. But he's someone that I was impressed with, so I'm looking forward to hear from him next year. So there's so many different artists though in general that it's gonna be a fun time next year because everyone we've mentioned from the honorable mentions to the top 10. The growth that we get to experience next year is going to be incredible. To watch the guys like King, JJ Wolf, everyone's really elevate into that next level next year. The way we've got to see people do this year is going to be so fun. So y'all are killing it. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's been a great episode. So.
No doubt. And if you're still tuning in, looks like we have 16 people. Ivan, if you're still tuning in, we are hosting a contest. We want people to submit what they think is their best track. We had about 70, 80 submissions the past couple of episodes. We're going to put the top 10 to 12 tracks, play them live, come up with a top 3, give out a cash prize. give out some free blog placements and cover arts through Upstate Aesthetic. Is that correct?
Yep.
So we just want to have any artist listening make sure to submit a track. It might not seem the most important to you, but we always get multiple dozens and dozens of heads tuning in. We get some real good engagement. It could get you into some new demographics, some fan territory, and who doesn't want some free cash? If you think you got the fire, submit and we'll let you know.
That's a fact. You're always up against Jake Daniels, but hey, if you got it, bring it and send it in. And don't hesitate because you're worried either. Send us your best track. We love playing the top 20. It creates a ton of engagement. We've seen a lot of collaborations come from these episodes. Like, it would have probably never even occurred if it weren't for these episodes because both artists are tuned in. They both like each other's songs. They're like, fuck, we should work together. And it makes all the sense in the world. Then there's also fans that are built through it, like Ant said. So it's a really, really dope spot. Y'all should definitely send us a track. We don't ever really bring anybody's track on to shit on it. So it's all in good fun. It's a great time, and it gets a lot of attention on everything. I'm not going to say we're bringing you 100 people that are going to check out what you've got going on, but it helps bring everybody's attention to it. The more you share it, the more everyone else shares it, the more everybody gets their eyes on it. So tonight's episode was a lot of engagement, a lot of people tuned in. Next week is probably going to be similar because that's how the competition episodes go. So if you thought this was good and want to see your music featured on an episode like this, then it's perfect. Send it in. We want it. We need it. It's great. We've got a bunch of tracks already in, but I want to keep getting some heat, especially from some artists that we haven't heard of. So like Ant said, Ivan, if you're still tuned in, please submit a track. We want to keep getting new artists involved.
No doubt, Justin, Do Sellers, J Skis, if y'all listening, we would love to get y'all. I'm liking this. We're getting some spice in the comments. Niggas saying they're coming for people's next. That's what we need.
Yep.
That's what we need. If y'all really
some fun, friendly competition, facts.
Yo, if y'all think that y'all really sending in some heat and you're not even nervous or worried about the competition because you have such fire, post on Facebook and tell your artist friends to.
Right? Yeah, I'm excited.
We can use that. Get your folks. There's nothing wrong with some friendly competition. Tell your boy that makes music, yo, send in a track. Get some free criticism, possibly win a free prize. Ain't nothing wrong with some free promotion and cash.
That's a fact. But we've been here for about 3 hours. We ran down our albums of the year. We ran down our top 10 artists from Upstate of 2020. We've basically covered what we need to cover for this week's episode. Ant let y'all know about next week's
top 10 songs.
Yeah, we're going to say if you want to see Sheridan's top 10 songs, he's going to go live right after this on Instagram Live. Go check him out. He's going to talk about his top 10 songs of 2020 because he's banned on Facebook. But
I'm going to watch Westworld.
What'd you say? You're about to go stream Tattletales and cry?
Facts. Just stream Tattletales, cry, and look at
Folklore, the best lyricist in the game right now, Taylor Swift.
He's actually in the process of creating a Taylor Swift Tattletales mashup, so it's gonna be great shit. Man. I'm looking forward to it. The folklore Tattletales.
I actually heard that 6ix9ine had a Sheridan feature coming out soon, but I didn't want to give too much credit to it.
Yeah, we're always spoiling shit. I think he's actually featured on the Lil Ak song. It's Sheridan, Lil Ak featuring Sheridan.
I'm working with Lil AGs.
Oh, all right. Lil AGs and Lil Ak featuring Sheridan. Sounds like a lit trio song. This is new Migos.
I like a lit trio. Nah, for real.
We're about done here, though. We've got 3 hours in. Ant, go ahead, let them know what you got to say, and we could get Sheridan and we'll get out of here.
I got Saint Kannon out for early access right now, which is my upcoming.
Cop that.
Yeah, go cop that, man. It's $25. The reception has been wonderful so far, but I'm always looking for more heads to check it out. If you would like to purchase a copy, hit me up. If you don't, no worries. It'll be out on streaming platforms in about a month or so.
It's well worth every penny, though, to get that early listen. I'm not gonna lie. Me and Sheridan as co-hosts paid the money.
50.
We didn't say, yo, bro, can you slide us that? Yo, let us hear it. We didn't go on Bandcamp and play every song without paying for it because we wanted to hear it. Like I know some of y'all motherfuckers are doing. No, we paid for it, just like you should do. Like support the artist, support what's going on.
$50.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Of course, I appreciate you guys. You guys definitely support it, and it feels good to get the ball rolling to a crazy 2021. I have so many projects ready for you guys. I have 3 St. Cannons locked and loaded with 2 deluxe editions. And this is the first way that I wanted to start it off. I'm happy to hear that you guys enjoyed it. The reception, like I said, has been wonderful. I haven't had a disgruntled customer yet. So if you would like to check it out, it's in the link is in my bio on all platforms. And if not, you just got to wait about a month. That early access is worth every penny, like they said. I got videos coming out soon. You know, I'm actually about to shoot a video with Trig next week. I'm about to shoot a video with Sakai this week. And hopefully I have something set up with Max Comfort soon. We've been talking as well. Dope. I'm trying to get crazy content out to you guys. 2021 is going to be crazy. I'll never vote for myself or Sheridan for a list like this, but just know niggas is lucky. You feel me?
Anthony was on my list. Anthony was on my list, and then he didn't put me on his, so I had to take him off.
Yeah.
Shit was crazy, bro. I'm like, wow, really, bro?
Yeah.
I guess I ain't a fan no more.
Yeah, right? Like, yo,
that was the second Sheridan decided to quit the podcast, so.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, bro. Y'all ain't seeing me on here next year, bro.
Let them know what you got coming, Sheridan, before we start spoiling all your information.
Yeah.
You don't show up next week, I'm telling them everything you told me not to say.
I ain't telling y'all shit. I got a lot coming next year, but I'm not telling you what it is just because it's all in the works still, but just know it's going to be the craziest year I've ever had. I'm breaking in. A lot of us are going to be breaking in to the industry this year, I think. It's going to be a crazy 2021. I'm all gas, no brakes. I'm putting everything I possibly have into this shit. I know it's funny, but I know Anthony is too, even though he's the goofiest looking kid I've ever seen. And just other than that, follow me on all social media. Sheridan Cartier, Sheridan Carter. And I'm going to just say, I probably can't accept your Facebook requests unless you're adding Bartholomew. Unless you're adding Bartholomew.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
My real account probably can't accept your requests right now, but they're pending. You know,
he's still locked up.
I got like 9 days left.
Sheridan has literally done more time than his hero Tekashi 6ix9ine ever served. So. It's incredible.
Yo, Sheridan is still in Facebook jail, and it's keeping him from being able to on the thick black bitches.
I swear he's been in Facebook jail since we started the podcast. Like, I'm not totally sure, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. You're not about to put on my type like that, bro.
You're good, bro. It's all good. It's okay.
Nobody knew that was your type until you said something. So you really just snitching on yourself, bro.
I see everybody's confused by who the fuck Bartholomew is. It's cool.
Exactly, bro.
I want to shout out everyone for supporting the Cypher this entire year. Throughout 39 episodes, we've had a ton of people share, participate in competitions, participate in episodes like this, be a part of the comment section, be a part of everything we have going on. And really, we've created a bit of a family here, you know what I mean, where we get together every Wednesday, have people jump into the comments with us, everyone talking and having a good time and helping build for Upstate. That it doesn't feel like a matter of if, but when someone blows up, and everyone is going to benefit off of that. The more that we all continue to work together, the amount of artists I've seen come together from the Cypher, the amount we've all grown, the amount that we've grown as hosts, Anthony and Sheridan. I appreciate you guys as hosts too. Like, it's been an incredible year for us in terms of if I look back a year to 2019, December 30th, I don't think this is happening at all. March happens, the pandemic happens, and we turn this into something really, really incredible. And it's been a fucking great year. So, I don't know. I just want to thank everybody for continuing to support. The Cypher's been awesome. Everyone's done a great job, and it's been an awesome time. Make sure you guys share Upstate Aesthetic. Continue to support. If you haven't submitted something for our competition episode, please do. I'm really excited for that. We're going to have a great one. So, yeah. Well, we're going to play a little.
Guys, so much.
Aesthetic. I got that exclusive Upstate Aesthetic gear on. You feel me? That champion, that red, that Merry comfy Christmas. Cotton, my nigga. Merry Christmas. You feel me? Because Drew is the best host ever, son. Insane year, bro.
The best host ever. This all happened because Drew brought us together. I just want to say, shout out to Drew.
He deserves all the credit.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So thank you for everybody tuning in. Helped me survive this year, low key insane year.
Right, like
year to watch. Thanks for sharing. Like so humble.
We honestly couldn't do it without y'all. Like without people tuning in and commenting with us, we'd just be talking to some fucking screens and ourselves. And
if this didn't get any type of traction from the jump, it would have lasted 3 episodes. Yep. No doubt.
That's a fact. So we've continued to build on it, and it's continued to grow. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in, being a part of the family, and we look forward to next year and everything we continue to build with that. So we'll be back next Wednesday with our 4th competition episode live at 6:30. It's going to be a good one. If you haven't submitted yet, make sure you submit. We're going to play some chicken spot and get out of here.
Yeah.